Good afternoon from Right Side Broadcasting Network. I'm Matthew Alvarez.
And I'm Bobby McNeely. We're live from Auburn, Alabama. If you joined us this morning, President Trump having a press conference at Trump Tower in New York City talking about the lawfare against him, his campaign, and his family. He's now en route to beautiful Charlotte, North Carolina, to be presented with what should be another glowing endorsement from the Fraternal Order of Police. Back the blue. I have my badge on today, always loving the men and women who put on that uniform to defend us every single day.
100%. And so we know President Trump is slated to speak at 4 o'clock in Charlotte, North Carolina. Of course, we're live right here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. Before we get to a lot of the news of the day, we want to start with the top news story right now. President Trump's September 18th sentencing, as you probably know at this point, has been delayed by Justice Merchan until after the election. So we're talking November 26th, which is 2 days prior to Thanksgiving. So still good news on a sentencing delay, but it is still all wrapped in one thing, and it's called lawfare.
Right, and I could see these things easily disappear come after the election, but they clearly are targeting President Trump, targeting his family. He spoke extensively on this E. Jean Carroll issue, Northern District of New York, and what's happening there. We'll see what the Appellate Court of New York does rule and how they rule in all of this, but interesting how willy-nilly they push it back. Alvin Bragg's case 2 months now, and after the upcoming November election. I think it's very true to say that if he had not been running for president again, we wouldn't see any of these charges.
Exactly right. So today, 3:45 is the pre-program in Charlotte, North Carolina. Of course, we'll have a camera there. We'll take that live as soon as we get access into that room in North Carolina. And then 4 o'clock for President Trump. Let's go to Gold, the Birch Gold Group right now. All you have to do is text Trump to 989898, and we have the free fight silver coin, which we're going to show you here on a close-up shot. This is the coin right here. So the front, I know with the lights it's a little bit hard to see, but you've got the great moment there when President Trump raised his fist in the air and said, "Fight, fight, fight." The other side has the White House. So this is a pretty cool memento here. You get this by going to texting Trump to 989898. You do have to purchase a product with Birch Gold Group in order to get this free fight silver coin. So obviously, Bobby, a great product with Birch Gold because you've got gold, silver, precious metals, all a backup to that U.S. dollar.
Right, and what a way to diversify your portfolio for tax-sheltered income and retirements. A great addition to your 401k or your IRA, or if you want to move that into precious gold, metal, and silvers, a very important thing to do. And this is, of course, backed by Birch Gold, backed by great patriots like Ron Paul, Dan Bongino, also Steve Bannon, who is like a modern-day Paul, very similar to Peter Navarro, literally going to prison for their freedom of speech and for telling the truth. I believe those great patriots, and they believe in Birch Gold. So secure yourself financially today.
Definitely. So another great sponsor here at Right Side Broadcasting, the Birch Gold Group. So Bobby, already President Trump speaking at Trump Tower earlier today, a long kind of press conference there, but also refuting all of the lawfare that was coming at him, talking about a number of cases. And then, of course, the news today about the delayed sentencing to November 26th. So that's always good to see. Why don't we also talk about the fact that we're talking state politics with California, how that former California state senator and former Democrat majority leader, Gloria Romero, has left the Democrat Party and has decided to vote for President Trump. It's something we're seeing across the country, not only people in political office, but people around the country. They're just saying, you know what, they're going way too far left for my liking.
Leader Romero is a traditional liberal Democrat, very similar to Tulsi Gabbard and RFK Jr., and clearly there is room in the Republican Party and the MAGA movement for your traditional liberal Democrats who have for years fought for free speech, clean air, and clean water, very admirable rights and things to not be taken for granted. And Bobby Kennedy Jr. literally putting his money where his mouth is, building a career in legal defense funds, defending people from big corporate interests, fighting for free speech, fighting for environmental issues, clearly finding that lane of what he believes in for the American people, and finding it best suited to suit up and team with President Trump to get those core issues done for the American people.
Exactly. And so just last month, another state senator out of California, Senator Marie Alvarado Gil of California, also switched parties. So people are, you know, the line is being drawn in the sand when it comes to what kind of country do we want moving forward. Hopefully it can be a united front as President Trump running for all of America. But at the end of the day, we know the majority of Americans want freedom, want the Constitution to be the law of the land, and do want America to be made great again.
Exactly. In many cases with these, whether it's Blexit or Legxit or all these different movements leaving the Democrat Party, I think about Misha Maynor, a state rep in the heart of Atlanta, not far from where Martin Luther King Jr. grew up. Her district is over 80% Democrat. If you look at the Cook PVI of what really gives you a scale on how an election or a district will sway in the upcoming race, she left the Democrat Party over educational issues and the fact that Democrats were holding things like Senate Bill 233 in Georgia hostage. Republicans came in, passed that legislation, signed by Governor Brian Kemp, and you're seeing more and more of that where Democrats are being bold and brave in heavy Democrat districts, leaving their party, then aligning with Republicans or becoming independents in order to get good legislation across party lines to make things better for their constituents.
Exactly. So if we have not introduced ourselves, this is Bobby McNeely. I'm Matthew Alvarez here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. We are going to Charlotte, North Carolina soon, as we will have camera access there as President Trump gears up to talk to the Fraternal Order of Police. So a law and order heavy day, obviously something that we need in our country. Think about it, Bobby. If we go to New York or if we go to Atlanta or Philly or wherever we go, we want to have law and order.
Exactly, and that's what people deserve, because if you're living in a big city, you should be able to commute to your job. Some people just working at home as well, but safety leads to a more prosperous environment, whether it's just simply going and working your daily duties or even protecting your family and sending your kids to a good school for a good education, whether it be public or private or even homeschooling as well. So this is what the American people deserve. It's why government exists in the first place, to protect the general welfare of the residents. And this are two issues that are very heavily correlated: a safe border and the economy. We're reading these numbers of how many natural-born citizens of the United States lost jobs recently or in the last few months. Only 142,000 jobs added over that time in the last quarter of how they scale and watch the economy, clearly behind the numbers that were reported by the Biden-Harris administration. They have failed on the economy. They have failed at the border. And quite frankly, Kamala Harris asleep at the wheel. She is not ready to be commander-in-chief. President Trump bringing Agenda 47 to the people, ready to be president of the United States once again.
I think people that want to have a communist or a socialist way of life, I think it's a terrible way of life, but they should move to maybe a country that does embrace that. But you think about it, a lot of people in the free world, do they really want something like that? Do they want to be controlled by anybody else? In general, Bobby doesn't want me to try and control his thoughts or his actions, and he doesn't want to control mine either. We could talk to each other,
right?
You know, but if you look at it just on that micro way, but at the end of the day, that's what we're looking for, is just freedom, and let the government do what the government does when it comes to military and roads and, you know, some taxes here and there. I get it, but not the extent that we're seeing right now.
It's a bloated bureaucracy, and President Trump literally pulled the curtain away so that the American people can see what's going on behind the scenes. And thank goodness for all these new social media platforms. President Trump was canceled. RSBN has been canceled at times. I was thrown off of Twitter a few years ago. Now X, and thank God for people like Elon Musk who have recognized these things, who have come on in there to make these platforms better. You have Truth Social, you have Rumble. By the way, we're on all the major platforms, and we are your leading 2024 election headquarters. So please like, subscribe, and share across all of the platforms to get this message out there, because we'll bring you the coverage from before, during, and after not only Trump rallies, but these press conferences, as you saw earlier if you were watching, and then the event in North Carolina today as well. We are here to bring you all of the coverage, full coverage of what's happening in MAGA world in the 2024 election.
Everything to get over the goal line, everything to get over and to win, right? And it comes to through prayer and hard work and getting out the vote and volunteerism and reducing the registration rolls, right? The voter rolls, that kind of thing. There's so many different things that we can get involved in. On top of that, of course, many of you out there that have either podcasts or other conservative media, we're kind of all in this together to keep that true narrative going, because the false narratives are left and right, always trying to take President Trump down, trying to take the people down. But at the end of the day, we're in this, all in, as you call it, right? We're all in, because we realize what we're facing coming up in about 60 days from now. Bobby and I are not reading from a prompter here. This is definitely our hearts and our minds with you, just as other correspondents at Right Side share, just as President Trump does when he's out there. He sometimes goes to the prompter, but a lot of times he's out there, he just riffs and he gets it done.
He is, and he takes those Q&As, whether it's from the press or the American people. The other night in Harrisburg, PA, had a wonderful town hall with Sean Hannity, and a gentleman asked him, sir, I'm really concerned. What do I tell my children? I have 3 kids, and things are a struggle right now. And President Trump said, first and foremost, pray. And I thought, how profound of the leader of the free world, turning to God, a man clearly... How could you not be affected by what happened in Butler, Pennsylvania, the attempted assassination of President Trump? And thank God that he was protected in that moment, turned his head just a few millimeters, and that bullet, thank God, missing what could have been the back of his head, instead going through the ear. He was injured, dropped quickly. We all saw that. And of course, our thoughts and prayers still with the Campitor family. Corey Campitor, a hero in real life, did not wear a cape, but wore that uniform, being a firefighter and doing the manly thing, covering his family, wife and kids, protecting them at that rally. Our thoughts and prayers are still with the Campitor family. I think a lot about this past week in news, the fact that the fake news, the Washington Post and New York Times especially, owing President Trump an apology, in my humble opinion, the victims' families from the botched exit in Afghanistan, those soldiers who passed far too young. President Trump was invited to take pictures at their gravesite with the families, and the media calling it a campaign event. And these families having to relive this and say, no, we invited President Trump. And you think the media would want to tell the truth about something so tender and precious?
Exactly. That shows how low they go. We understand that. President Trump helped us by revealing the fake news so many years ago, and now we know, hey, that's fake news. I mean, you look at that story right there, and a lot of the Gold Star families actually did on-camera interviews or on-camera statements that President Trump on his Truth Social posted just the other day, and it shows the families saying we wanted President Trump to be there. Mm-hmm. The media, I still can't believe that happened. The fact that they would spin it that way, but that's par for the course, I guess. And
that's why we fight, as President Trump said, because you see someone's true character in a horrible moment like that. And another talking point from the far left regarding these MAGA rallies. Oh, it's always mean people. It's nasty. It's this, that, and the other. No one flinched when that happened. It could have been chaos with people running and being scattered, having been outside and fearful from what happened. No, everyone stood their ground. And I think that's the character of the MAGA movement. And no one's speaking higher of it recently than RFK Jr. and talking about this is what MAGA is about. It's about bringing these issues to the American people, taking care of one another as neighbors, as community members, as churchgoers, but also making America healthy again, not only mentally and physically, but spiritually.
Exactly. So we know that President Trump will be in Butler, Pennsylvania next month. So in October sometime. We don't have the date yet, but it's going to be quite the atmosphere there, of course, for President Trump, as has been the same story everywhere he goes. And all of these great patriots that speak prior to President Trump, I believe there will be some today as well. I mean, 3:45 is the pre-program in Charlotte. President Trump slated to speak at 4 o'clock. We're thankful that you guys are with us. This is Right Side Broadcasting Network. And of course, we'll have Mike Fortin and Christina Loren, our RSBN correspondents, tomorrow in Mosinee, Wisconsin for a huge rally. Of course, a lot of Wisconsinites love President Trump.
And it's a big Wisconsin weekend. We have the Green Bay Packers taking on the Philadelphia Eagles in Sao Paulo, Brazil. A great way of exporting our values and traditions. And hopefully Brazil gets back on the same page as the Liberty Movement. They're going through similar things to us. A big, broad economy, skyrocketing inflation there, a fight between capitalism and communism, liberty versus tyranny. Bolsonaro's a great leader. Hopefully he can come back, or at least people that think similar to him and President Trump, so we can have that good trade relationship again. But Wisconsin, a huge factor, a huge 10 electoral votes, I believe, that will make a massive difference potentially in this election. We have 93 electoral votes combined with the swing states, and that blue wall was knocked down in 2016. It can be done again on the broad shoulders of the Midwest manufacturing leaders, like great states like Wisconsin, our dairy land, who will make a huge difference. Farmers and blue-collar workers who will truly make a difference in this election.
100%. So to your point, Wisconsin, 10 electoral votes, Pennsylvania, 19, Georgia, 16, Michigan, 15, Nevada 6, Arizona 11, and then today in North Carolina, President Trump there, 16. So you add those up, 93 electoral votes for the swing states. But it doesn't mean states like Alabama or Maine or Oregon or Washington or California, we all have to vote, right? So let's get out to vote. And I know that's what a lot of people are working hard to do, especially with early voting on the way as well in some of the states.
Number 19 on the Agenda 47 platform is get out there and make a plan to vote, whether that's early, absentee voting, the day of. It harkens back to not only 2016, where all the polls were wrong, but let's think about historically. Dewey beats Truman, and then President Truman famously, with that picture, holding up a Chicago Tribune, saying that they had printed that out. That's what was expected. So the ultimate poll that matters is you going out there and making your voice heard, and then President Trump pledging to work towards getting rid of motor voter from a federal standpoint, working with getting your county clerks and your secretaries of state to adopt showing an ID, going the paper ballot route. We can't do that unless good MAGA patriots get into all these different offices, local, statewide, and also federally, to make that happen. But make your voices heard first and foremost. You can't sit home in a time like this.
Tax Network USA, one of the great sponsors here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. You see that number on the screen, 800-357-1415. This is not just another sponsor, read, or commercial for you. This is the truth when it comes to how great this company is. They really work alongside you, especially when there's any kind of tax issues or maybe you missed a filing year. Call 800-357-1415. Having someone alongside you when there's financial situations, always a good thing.
True patriot experts who know what they're doing. They know how to handle these things, whether you have back taxes, whether you've paid a little bit too much. With over 14 years of experience in the business, they have settled and saved taxpayers over $1 billion. That's correct, with a B, $1 billion. And we've had thousands of agents who have come onto the IRS in the Biden tenure, and they've been harassing the American people, quite frankly, with this big bloated bureaucracy. So visit taxnetworkusa.com/RSBN. Give them a call, the number right there on your screen, 800-357-1415, and make sure you're defending your assets rightfully and patriotically so.
All right, there's that number right there, Tax Network USA. So it's 2:21 on the East Coast. 3:45 will be the pre-program. 4 o'clock again, President Trump speaking. We will have a live camera there, and we'll be having that live shot very soon in North Carolina. So, you know, you're looking at various talking points out there, and it seems like it's the faith and true freedom party versus the counterfeit communist party. It's kind of the way it's shaping out. I wish it wasn't that way, right? I mean, back in the day, it was Republican, Democrat, and here we go. Well,
Right.
President Trump said the other day, it really isn't just Republican, Democrat. It's much more than that.
It's much more complicated. You have special interests, and really the way I see it is a big deep state in Washington, D.C., regardless of if there's an R or D next to their name, trying to tell the American people how to live their lives. There's many examples of this. Probably the most glaring was the Virginia students and teachers and parents who were advocating for getting rid of pornography out of minor children's schools, and the school boards going rogue, the FBI sending agents in to harass parents who just wanted what was best for their kids.
Well, on top of that, this is what's interesting. Whenever the left, and I'm talking about not just Democrat people across the country, this is not, when we talk like this is about the leadership, and it's also about the left-wing media. So the people that are really trying to push that radical left agenda. Yesterday, Tim Walz was in Erie, Pennsylvania, and he was talking about freedom, and he was saying you should be able to have whatever books that you want to have in the library, and you don't want to be, you know. I'm like, is that the freedom you're talking about? Stuff that is like so morally off the wall and so terrible. Is that the only freedom that's really one of the only ones they bring up. So it's quite obvious what they're trying to push. It is wokeism on steroids. That is what they're trying to have for our country.
Meanwhile, they'll get rid of great novels like The Great Gatsby. I actually saw this firsthand before I moved from the Chicago area down to Georgia. District 200, this is in Wheaton, Illinois, just west of Chicago, a traditionally conservative area and home of Wheaton College. Billy Graham went there. Many great people that have been in the conservative religious movement in the last half century have attended school there. A wonderful place to get an education. This District 200, this public school, has truly a brain-dead school board and a radical school board who will remove great novels out of political correctness, but they've actually allowed pornography within the K through 12 schools for the minors, thinking that it's going to help them somehow. It's bizarre, it's perverse, it doesn't make any sense, and the best way you can change your community for a positive manner, it's go and run for those city councils, go and run for school board. Hey, you don't want to run for office? Go and volunteer. Go sign up for TrumpForce47.com. Go and be a precinct captain. You have such a sphere of influence, more than you know, and it's done in the pubs, it's done in the bars, it's done in the churches, just like our founding fathers did.
Exactly right. So we know what's ahead of us. The fork in the road. 60 days from today is November 5th. 2024. Of course, early voting, so make sure to check out your county and state board of elections offices to figure out if you're going to be early voting or if you're going to be voting day of. Again, to Bobby's point earlier, number 19 of the promises with the GOP is to secure our elections, including same-day voting, voter ID, paper ballots, and proof of citizenship. So a lot at stake coming up. It's good to be here, Bobby, with you, man. Just we did the Trump Tower press conference just a little bit ago. President Trump refuting all of the lawfare cases that are being thrown at him. And then, of course, the breaking news, Justice Merchan delaying the sentencing from September 18th until November 26th, 2 days before Thanksgiving. Still, though, it's still lawfare regardless.
No question about it. It is an extraordinary time in American history. And President Trump, Alina Habba, and his legal team really laying it out in that press conference, whether it be Fani Willis or Letitia James or so many other prosecutors, attorneys general who have gone rogue, who have been funded by George Soros, and who, by the way, actually visited the White House because you can see those White House logs. Clear lawfare happening, and Merrick Garland all in the mix of this. Our United States Attorney General, someone who likes to take those binoculars and look into American freedoms and doesn't really want someone like a President Trump coming back to the White House because it will be the time when the investigators become investigative.
100%. So this is quite the time to be alive. I know a lot of you guys are dealing with some serious concerns, maybe fears, anxieties. It's all coming at us, right? We can talk and be, upbeat here a little bit. We could talk about college football or the movie that we saw the other day. He saw it, Reagan up in Georgia. I saw it down here in Alabama. And the point is, we know, but in the back of our minds, there's just a lot that we're taking on for our souls right now. So I got to pray hard, work hard, and continue, hopefully, to make comedy great again. Be able to laugh a little bit. That's why President Trump, he's out there going through it more than all of us are. We're with him in it, but he's still making people laugh when he's even at some of these, speeches and that kind of thing, on top of telling us about the 20 promises and the serious points that he has for this country.
Humor goes a long way. So does any of your great hobbies that lead to social interaction or just great sport. President Trump, of course, loves playing golf, and it's great to see him get out on the golf course. I really enjoy a lot of the podcast appearances he's making. He spent some time with Bryson DeChambeau, and they raised a lot of money for the Wounded Warrior Project, just having a nice golf outing, and Bryson having a lot of entertaining moments with the president. And that's great, too, because that reaches out to other factions of American society who may not be as political. And that's a big thing for the viewers at home. A lot of times I'm sure you get, hey, I don't want to talk about politics, whether it's the family or friends, but this is really our culture at stake. It's, are we going to be a liberty beacon of hope nation, or will we fall into the years and years of darkness? As President Reagan spoke of, freedom is only one generation away from extinction. How are we going to fight in the next 60 days? We're only 2 months away, less than that now, from the most consequential election in most of our lifetimes. It is truly liberty versus tyranny.
So we know President Trump speaking at 4 o'clock today at North Carolina, and then tomorrow again, Mosinee, Wisconsin, for a rally. The coverage will start at 8 a.m. Eastern tomorrow. President Trump to speak at 2 p.m. Eastern. So kind of an earlier shift when it comes to the rally. A lot of college football tomorrow. But you know what's interesting, Bobby? When it was football season last go-around, whether it was an NFL game or college football, if President Trump held a rally, people still showed up and showed out, and it was awesome and almost more entertaining in some ways, especially if it was the football game was a 35-0 blowout. You know what I mean?
I talk about it all the time. I mean, we're in the heart of SEC Nation, War Eagle, right in the middle of Auburn, Alabama. But here's the thing. If you ever want to go shopping for groceries on a Saturday, gosh, go during a Georgia Bulldogs game, at least in my neighborhood, no one's there. And that's the brilliance of President Trump, can draw out even more people to his rally, regardless of that happening on the weekend. So a testament to President Trump, and maybe he'll visit one of these football games coming up. He's always gotten a good reception with the Crimson Tide over at Alabama, and I'm sure one of these SEC schools might just welcome President Trump to say hello. He had a lot of fun in Iowa last year with the Iowa State game, Big Ten and some Big 12 with the Cyclones and the Hawkeyes. He went to the fraternity, and Gen Zers, I mean, they loved him.
Yeah, it was a great time to see him there at Iowa State at the Cyclone Stadium. A cool spot there. Got to check out a game there against Texas when he was doing some of his primary stops up there in Iowa. So we're going to go to our next sponsor here in a minute, if the director can repeat on that, and then we'll be getting ready to go out there live to Charlotte, North Carolina. So, Bobby, the wellness company, those two kits that we've showed the viewers, we do have them right here. This is the Contagion Emergency Kit and then the Medical Emergency Kit. These are the kits that you guys can get if you go to makecaregreatagain.com. So hydrochloroquine or ivermectin or amoxicillin, a Z-Pak, you can get this through going to makecaregreatagain.com, and then, Bobby, it looks like 15% off if you just use that RSBN promo code.
Really a great deal. This is Dr. Peter McCullough, who's been canceled for his findings, an expert epidemiologist, expert on the mRNA vaccines and that development. He is the anti-Dr. Fear. He's anti-Fauci for good reasons. MakeCareGreatAgain.com, code RSBN for 15% off. Don't get caught up in a fall flu season that can really make you sick. And there is a bird flu summit being put on by the World Health Organization in October. And one of their top agenda items, the mass fatality management plan. If that doesn't send chills up your spine, I don't know what does, because it's eerily reminiscent of what took place with COVID and the pandemic in 2020 and 2021. And these beautiful medications have been around a long time, and many natural, that will protect you God forbid if you or your family get sick. And look how tiny it is, easy to fit in a backpack if you go hiking, or just to put to the side in your pantry. So makecaregreatagain.com. Get your wellness company medical emergency kit and contagion kits today.
Before we end talking about the wellness company, the World Health Organization, one day ago on X, I'm reading right here from it, a number of people received an initial delivery of 99,000 doses of the Mpox vaccine donated by the European Commission. So what they're talking about here at the WHO is about Mpox. So what possibly could happen, right? So at the end of the day, we know having a kit like this, the kinds of prescriptions that will kick a virus or bacteria out of your system is always good to have. So whether that's you're traveling in the car, at your workplace, or in your house. So makecaregreatagain.com, and then use that promo code RSBN for 15% off. Bobby, some scary times. We saw what it was like to go through COVID and COVID lockdowns for some of you in certain states. A terrible time for not only your physical health, possibly your mental health. It was just a really awful time in this country. We hope to never see that again. But at the end of the day, America is woken up.
They are. We are a base country. We have been red-pilled in so many ways. And that's a sad contrast of what you see with Kamala Harris versus President Donald Trump. It's the fact that the last 3.5 years, so many unnecessary deaths, so many inconveniences. There will be so many empty seats at the dinner table and for the holidays because of these pandemics, because of an open border, the fentanyl crisis, the botched exit from Afghanistan. What about our men and women in blue in these dangerous cities? Philadelphia is a nightmare right now. Chicago, Illinois, an absolute horrible situation with Venezuelan migrants, illegal aliens coming in and causing chaos and crime. I think about Lincoln Riley often, this beautiful 22-year-old nursing student from University of Georgia out jogging in the afternoon, and her life taken away from a Venezuelan illegal alien. And as President Trump speaks on all of this, their prisons are empty right now. They've had a low rate in crime for the first time in a long time in these Central American and South American countries because they're all coming up through our border. The Chinese Communist Party being put on notice by President Trump, stop sending the poison or there will be hell to pay, and rightfully so, because Xi Jinping, he respected President Trump. He feared him. I think about the time at Mar-a-Lago. April of 2017, 3 months into President Trump's tenure, they're having cheesecake. And he said, President Xi, come on over. I dropped the Moab on ISIS. Just wanted you to know. And it was clearly related through the translator, oh boy, this guy means business. He will defend his country. And that's what we need again.
Exactly. So you think about President Trump and a new administration would be the greatness of what he did for the first 4 years. No new wars, right? And then on top of that, a great economy, the freedom's still intact, right? You just felt better as an American as well. You think about it now, too, the southern border, what he'd want to do when it comes to maybe the drug cartel or, closing down the border or bringing Maganomics in or keeping our freedoms intact, right? Just reversing this whole snake of wokeism that's trying to really just eat up this country. So, yeah, man, we've been talking pretty seriously here for a minute,
right.
Bobby.
Yeah, no, it's thank God we're going into the weekend, and we're so happy that you're here with us at Right Side Broadcasting, where we can give you before, during, after all the coverage of President Trump's rallies, press conferences, presentations to different groups. He had a wonderful one yesterday with the Economic Club of New York, touching on what Matthew and I are discussing of what's such a serious time. But again, it's very nice to be going into the weekend so we can enjoy some college football. Professional football is now back with us. And talk about the culture wars happening there. We had the Baltimore Ravens last night, the Kansas City Chiefs. We have two of the best kickers up against each other, devout believers who have gone right into that culture war saying, hey, we support our wives, we love our church, and we love to just share the grace and beauty of God who's allowed us to be on this field to glorify him. And that backdrop with the Taylor Swifts of the world, the Travis Kelce's, and lovely that they have a beautiful relationship. At the same time, they might be more on the left-wing side of things, but that's okay because discussion is being had on those levels. That's a young team as well, the Kansas City Chiefs, defending champions. Their average age of their defense, 25 years of age. So fun to watch this culture war backdrop with the entertainment of sports to take our minds off of some of the things that are going on that are very serious.
Yeah, so again, President Trump, he plays golf. That's part of what he does. I mean, some of us like to watch sports or watch a movie or just kind of unplug, but the point is, it's really difficult, as a lot of you guys know, that Super Bowl of Super Bowls, the November 5th election is around the corner.
Right.
Of course, Wisconsin tomorrow for the rally right here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. So you can watch, obviously, the rally, and then when the rally's over, there's some football to watch. And speaking of Taylor Swift, hopefully Brittany Mahomes is going to, win her over to the right side of things.
Could you imagine if Taylor Swift opened up a MAGA concert or a MAGA rally? It might happen. You never know.
You never know.
You never know.
Wilder things have happened. I mean, you think about Taylor, she started out in Nashville, right? Country singing. And then, of course, she started going towards the left. But, maybe she's got a good heart, though, and maybe her mind has been brainwashed by so much of the left. Because what we're looking for is, from human to human, we still love each other in this country, regardless of background, regardless of the way people are. That's our job, is to do that. But also, you have to have peace through strength, too. You don't just become a pushover, right? So we hope to have a united country moving forward. And President Trump is running to be a president of all of America. So we hope that's the way it goes. We know that the left radical agenda, though, is quite opposite of what I was just talking about.
Well, and that's what was so great about Patrick Mahomes, the star quarterback, NFL Super Bowl MVP, twice now, 3-time Super Bowl champion. Defended his wife to the press. They're asking him about that, and he said, she can have an opinion, that's okay. And I'm going to stand behind my wife, regardless of whether it's on or off the football field. And that was a great masculine moment, because that's something we talk about here, too, is making masculinity and traditional femininity great again. It's not toxic. There are roles to play as a man in society, as a female in society, whether you're single, dating, or married. And these roles are important to be the bedrock of Western civilization, which is under attack right now, and we're seeing that throughout the Western world. So my hat's off, and tip that to Mr. Patrick Mahomes, who had a wonderful game last night, a 27-20 victory against their rivals, the Baltimore Ravens. So we like to talk sports here too. We're a daytime show, we're an afternoon show, sometimes we're prime time, covering all of President Trump's stops as he is just 2 months out of what's going to be a historical election.
Yeah, so many rallies and events upcoming. Of course, tomorrow in Wisconsin, today in North Carolina, a speech to the Fraternal Order of Police. And I was thinking, we were talking about Reagan the other day, the movie, and how much we both liked that movie, and how it would be great to have a movie called Trump in 2028. It would be great after hopefully another victory, 47th president. And then moving forward, we're talking about male and female. I mean, at the end of the day, if somebody runs the country right, I'm looking at somebody like maybe Alina Habba in the future, or maybe Matt Gaetz, or whoever, right? Carrie Lake, who knows? But at the end of the day, it's how the person handles the job, right? And we know President Trump isn't afraid of pretty much anything. I don't think he's afraid of anything, that guy.
I mean, this guy is just bold, and you look at 2 impeachments. They were ridiculous, even Alan Dershowitz being his lead attorney there, someone who supported and voted for Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden, a traditional Democrat. Maybe he's finally come on to the MAGA wing of things, but so much of law and order and the truth being violated in that tenure, these deep state bureaucrats, whether Republicans or Democrats, fearful of the changes President Trump has brought in. He's been that appropriate wrecking ball, that outsider who took on an establishment that only scratches its back. And then you go into all of the lawfare. You go into an assassination attempt. You have the attacks on his family. It's amazing. God is behind President Trump. There's no question about that. And we know, too, as believers, that God reigns as sovereign king. He cares about this country. It is his nation. In our founding documents, you can find talking about bowing before the Lord of hosts. This is something that our founders deeply believed in and knew to have a moral nation that believed in natural law, that believed in Republican, not the party, the Republican law and order, that form of government that we are all equal under the law, under God. You have to be a God-fearing populace. And there is cause for concern. Some people don't believe that anymore. But there are plenty that do, who are part of this movement and are excited to take that to the ballot box, neighborhood by neighborhood, community by community, spreading and sharing that gospel message.
Judeo-Christian principles, and it makes me think of John 3:16 for the entire world, right? So looking live there in Charlotte, North Carolina. Good timing on that, because I just wanted to shift over to the Tar Heel State and talk about the fact that there are 16 electoral votes at stake. And in that state there, Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson running for governor. What a great move that would be for the people of North Carolina.
And what an energizing individual as well. Someone who has fought hard for his state, will not back down. Another outsider, and a great articulate gentleman ready to take on, North Carolina politics are quite interesting as well. I've heard some fascinating things. Of course, I've been mostly around what it was like in the Chicago machine politics, but North Carolina having its own form of deep state on both sides. Mark Robinson coming in like a wrecking ball to fight for his neighbors and for the people of the great Tar Heel State.
Always good to hear him when he's on stage and he's preaching and he's just letting it go, because you know what? We want someone that is a strong leader, and we've seen that with President Trump, and we see that with a number of great people out there in this country. So we're all in this together, literally. President Trump and all of the people, we the people, and then, of course, a number of people that are in D.C., like MTG and Matt Gaetz and Byron Donalds and others, doing great things for our country. So a lot of big races upcoming. Joe Kent out of Washington State, Hung Cao in Virginia, and Kerry Lake in Arizona. There's so many around the country right now that we hope to see win not only the White House, but also win in Congress.
Those crucial down ballot races, statewide in some cases with Senate and even gubernatorial races, but very, very important to do so President Trump can get his legislative agenda across the board. It will be so important to have majorities not only in the United States House of Representatives, but in the United States Senate. Some opportunities coming up you see in Montana, also West Virginia. I think of Governor Jim Justice. He has a great opportunity to take what is Senator Joe Manchin's seat. And really, I shouldn't say it's someone's seat, because truly it's the people's seat ultimately. And the people that are public servants, or at least they should be, temporarily hold those positions. And you're seeing the outsiders, the business people, coming in, having been successful in a wide range of private industries, coming to serve their country. It really is an exciting, hopeful time, even though there are so many challenges thanks to big corporate interests and, let's face it, big government bureaucrats like Joe Biden and Kamala Harris.
And then if you want to name Bernie Sanders, might as well throw the Vermont senator in there. Gerald Malloy is running as a Trump-endorsed candidate against Bernie Sanders in Vermont. We actually are going to have him live tomorrow when we do our coverage for Wisconsin. So it'll be great to hear from way up there in the Northeast, up in beautiful Vermont. So that'll be tomorrow. But, at the end of the day, each of these events, whether it's North Carolina today or Wisconsin tomorrow, it's more of like a national event regardless. It's national news, in my opinion, but also you're hearing about the whole country, specifically North Carolina today and Wisconsin, both swing states.
Crucial victory between the two of them. 26 electoral votes. You have 10 in Wisconsin, 16 in the Tar Heel State, and these are going to be crucial to President Trump's re-election. These are really where you can make a difference on a daily basis based on what's happening or not happening on the campaign trail.
Exactly. So we are 4 days until the presidential debate in Philadelphia at it's the National Constitution Center, which is just down the road from Independence Hall. So quite the backdrop for quite the fork in the road that we have coming up for our country, really for our country. President Trump saying recently about that we won't have a country anymore. He doesn't think we'll have a country anymore if she is the leader of the free world. Can you believe that the person just how many months ago was it, where she was talking outside of the school buses and saying how great the school buses are? Well, that's awesome. Good for you. I mean, we don't want to hear that. We want to hear what you're going to do for the country. And unfortunately, what she would want to do, and Tim Walz would want to do, is destroy the United States of America.
She has a terrible record, quite frankly. And you look at what she did to Brett Kavanaugh during those judicial hearings for the vacant Supreme Court spot, what she did to his family, the constant lies, the constant lawfare happening against people that are simply right of center or have a conservative jurisprudence. Lindsey Graham famously telling him, "Sir, I'm sorry, you came to the wrong place at the wrong time," and that being Washington, D.C. A man of great character, Justice Brett Kavanaugh. Think about how President Trump was able to change the judiciary. It ended up leading to the striking down of Roe v. Wade, which really should never have been put forward in the first place, an unconstitutional law. President Trump truly being the Federalist president, caring about the 10th Amendment, states' rights. It's not a dog whistle, it's a real issue. Our system is brilliant because you have these experiments and laboratories of democracy, our 50 states, in addition to our territories, that can debate and dialogue core issues, that can focus on communities, state and local issues to make them better. And gosh, if you don't like where you're living, you can get up and move. And many people are voting in that sense by getting up and moving to states that are just more free, that you can get a better bang for your buck. Cost of living, even in these inflationary times, are more effective and do better for your family. It just is common sense at the end of the day, and Agenda 47 looks to achieve that. It's been done once before. It will be done again in 4 short years.
So we know when 2016, when President Trump was the 45th president of the United States, the amount of things that he did as an outsider kind of then revealed how much the left-wing leadership hates our country and hates President Trump. If it wasn't for him being the outsider that he was, and he is, we wouldn't have seen how ugly the swamp really is. So he showed us, right? We see that, and now they had to respond, and that was their response: is lawfare, is weaponization of the DOJ, is constitutional rights possibly being taken from us, we the people, right? Very real stuff. This is not drama. That's not disinformation, as you'd hear from the left-wing people that are on these left-wing networks trying to call it out, saying it's disinformation. The information that I just shared is true information. This really happened, right? So at the end of the day, disinformation would be me knowingly knowing something is false and then sharing that in a platform like this. Well, I know that gas prices were $1.87 under President Trump, and now they are much higher, right? That's not disinformation. So if we speak our hearts and our minds about the country right now, that's not misinformation either. They can throw these names all they want, but they're false. They're lying to us a lot. And after working in both of us in the mainstream press, we have realized for years we were getting held down. We couldn't speak what really we believed, right? So I think that, I know you guys resonate with that out there, but Bobby, I mean, that's what we're facing right now.
Well, even pressure to create a story out of what might be 2 separate stories. That was something for me. One of my last stories when I was in the mainstream had to do with a core constituency of Jewish residents that were clear separate stories. There was a lot of pressure from the managing directors to put that all together into one. And I said, one of the stories was actually an open FBI investigation. We would be stepping in and infringing on law enforcement. This is, of course, a law enforcement event, and creating a story on the side that might cause chaos for the community. You don't want to do that. You have responsibility in media. And to your point, Matthew, look at Anwar. The drilling in Alaska was a huge success. We have liquid gold under our feet, as President Trump said, and that's what brought down these costs for the American people. $1.87 for a gallon of gas. Now the national average just over $3. It's amazing it's even at that, considering places like California, you easily see $5, $6, $7, maybe more in the Los Angeles area. Mike Fortin doing some great correspondent work reporting on that. He had lived there recently before moving to Nevada. Just look at the fake news story recently. The Gold Star families inviting President Trump to Arlington to honor the fallen in Afghanistan, that botched exit, President Biden too busy looking at his watch when that return ceremony happened, the fake news, corporate media, Washington Post, New York Times. You do need to apologize to President Trump and the Gold Star families. They invited him to take pictures at those graves, as many leaders have done in the past. Joe Biden did that during COVID with those beautiful gravestones of our beautiful soldiers resting in peace in Arlington. It's just a shame that the far left agenda has creeped into media to try to make the story instead of reporting the story.
100%. So that's obviously what we've seen over the decades of reporting. You know, you look at these greats back in the day, so-called greats, Walter Cronkite, Peter Jennings. We thought Brian Williams, he was a talented guy, but then he goes on a show and he lies about his time out there and covering a war. So, at the end of the day, we know that we want to have people that resonate. We want to share information that resonates with you, the American people. So that's what we're about here, guys. I mean, this is, again, not a teleprompter read script or anything. This is just us to you, and we're thankful that you guys are with us here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. This is Bobby McNeely, Matthew Alvarez, Mike Fortin, and Christina Loren will be in Wisconsin tomorrow, boots on the ground. And is it Mosinee, Wisconsin?
Mosinee, right? Wisconsin.
It's spelled Mosinee, and I had no idea how to pronounce it, so I called a pizza shop yesterday. That's what I do sometimes. As a journalist, I'm like, well, I want the information and I want it now. So I called a pizza shop and I go, I got a couple coworkers going up there tomorrow. How do you pronounce the name of your town? And they said Mosinee. So there you go.
And I've been through there many times. It's a beautiful central in the heart of Dairyland, Central Wisconsin Airport. Beautiful in the summertime. Gets a little bit nippy and cold in the winter, but they have beautiful falls as well that drive up there. The fall colors will be here in a few weeks, and a wonderful place to go enjoy God's nature and recreation. If you're a fisherman, a golfer, be sure to check out Wisconsin. And I hate to say it, you might have to go visit those Green Bay Packers. As much of a Chicago Bears fan as I am, it's a great tradition, and we love our friends and our American neighbors up in Wisconsin. Gosh, it's going to be the blue collar, those fighters, those great workers, the manufacturers, the farmers who are going to determine this election.
100%. Let's move on to one of our great sponsors here, Zelenko. This is all about saving money, but also all about your health. There's a powerhouse blend of zinc, vitamin C, vitamin D, specifically designed to fortify your immune system. This is one drop right there you can get with this great company. They're 20% off. Use that RSBN promo code. And it's also more than just about vitamins. It's about freedom and taking back control. So don't wait for someone else to tell you what to do. Just take action now by going to zstacklife.com. You get that 20% off. Now there's this other blend in there, this other supplement called quercetin and the zinc. So I always have taken zinc just, if you feel a cold coming on, I like taking zinc. But just imagine taking vitamin C plus zinc plus vitamin D and this quercetin in there. So always good.
It could end up saving your life in the process, or just make sure that you don't feel as bad as you could. But there's a lot of stuff that has been put into our environment, and also that is natural occurring as these flus evolve, as COVID has morphed into different mutations. Of course, there's the bird flu summit coming up that the WHO, Matthew mentioned earlier, putting out thousands of vaccines throughout Europe. There is a movement for control around our world. So make sure that these natural remedies that have been time and tested and been around for a long, long time will protect you, and easy just to put into your pantry or carry if you're on a hike or in your backpack or even in the car. So get this beautiful Z-Stack, save 20% with code RSBN.
And before we go with this sponsor, it's zstacklife.com. So the letter Z, stacklife.com, zstacklife.com. Great sponsor here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. So approaching the top of the hour, 3 o'clock here in North Carolina, actually, on the East Coast there, 3 o'clock. 3:45 will be the pre-program, and then President Trump to take the stage there, I'm sure, talking about law and order, especially speaking to the Fraternal Order of Police there. Again, it's just to re-rack some of the news that we've heard today. President Trump's September 18th lawfare sentencing has actually been moved to after the election, November 26th. So you're looking at 2 days before Thanksgiving is when that will happen. Ideally, President Trump and hopefully and prayerfully and all of the work that we have to do in the sense of getting out the vote, he'll win the election and won't have to deal with any of the lawfare any longer moving forward.
Well, and we have deranged Jack Smith, who in addition, none of what he's prosecuting will be admissible into court until after the election. But I'm sure that these folks will not stop at anything to prevent President Trump from swearing in to be the 47th President of the United States. But a strong press conference earlier today from Trump Tower in New York City. He was there with his legal team led by Alina Habba, doing a wonderful job really to defend President Trump's name and his family's name. Lawfare happening throughout many different states. Attorneys General like Letitia James or rogue DAs like Fonnie Willis in Fulton County, Georgia, who have targeted President Trump, who had an agenda. They went to visit the White House. They have met with Merrick Garland. We know this all to be true, as much as they do deny it. But light at the end of the tunnel, and this is why you need conservative jurisprudence. It's not so much the Republican Party philosophy. It's more of a conservative law philosophy of people being equal under the law, under God, that there is no one too big or too small to be equal under the law. If you break it, you'll have to respond for that. But President Trump clearly being targeted by George Soros rogue DAs.
Isn't it something, Bobby, that we even have to, at least for myself, sometimes I think in my mind, well, we have this freedom of speech, right? And here we are talking about all of these things that are going on in the world, right? And there's no filter. We're, as Bobby said, and as we talked the other day, we're all in, as many of you are as well. But to be able to even have a concern that we have to watch our speech when it comes to positive things like law and order, or build the wall, or vote for President Trump, can you believe that's even a thing that's on our minds as we have been in this country? I'm going to turn, 43 years old September 18th, right? 43 years on this in this country. Never have I had to deal with any of these concerning thoughts that we're having, like many of us are.
This has been a new thing for so many of us. And the American people are smart. The more and more we go to these rallies and talk to everyday Americans, they're aware of what's happening, and that gives hope. You also have the strength of a leader in President Trump, an outstanding running mate in Senator J.D. Vance, still focused with all these distractions, still focused on just simply serving the country and making it great again.
Speaking of making it great again, let's go to the Kid's Guide to American Greatness, the Kid's Guide to President Trump. How about the Kid's Guide to Fighting Indoctrination? All of these books and other topics as well. All you have to do is go to freetrumpbook.com. Some awesome topics. I mean, even Republicans and Democrats and just basics about our country. Always good to get the truth about what's going on out there, and also the truth of how great President Trump was during that first administration, and hopefully a second one as well. So, Bobby, how about, can you believe that this, it says here, the Kid's Guide to Fighting Indoctrination?
And so important right now, this guide will actually walk you through how do I deal with the media? What if there is discrimination at school? Top questions like, why is President Trump coming back for a second term? What is MAGA? Why is America great? What did the Founding Fathers envision? So these are great topics, not only just for kids, but maybe for your neighbors that, quite frankly, aren't paying attention to what's going on. Hopefully more will be doing that as we're on the eve of next week's debate by Fake News ABC. You'll have President Trump and Vice President Kamala Harris really meeting in person for the first time, I believe, for a showdown that's supposed to be exciting, some thunder and lightning to take place, of course, figuratively speaking, But we have some parameters with this debate, very similar to the June 27th CNN debate, where mics will be off. There will be some control there, no live studio audience, and I don't know, we've been talking a little bit about that, some of the positives, some of the negatives. I think it's good to have the muted mic so Kamala Harris won't pull what she did with then Vice President Mike Pence saying, hey, you're speaking over me, when there was actually silence in that moment. And then I thought, then Vice President Mike Pence coming back very gentlemanly, just saying, you're entitled to your opinions, but not your own set of facts. I'm sure something similar will take place here. So she can't play this whole showboating prosecutor moment. She actually will have to answer the questions. No pre-written notes as well. So that will be good because we've seen that a lot with President Biden, of course, taking notes almost at every speech she gives.
Well, hopefully Harris doesn't write on her hands the notes, you know what I mean? So the other day we saw the hidden headphones, right? She was going up, Air Force 2, and ignored the press with headphones on. You don't do that. You are supposed to be a leader of this country, and we're the ones that hire and fire. We're we the people. So we decide who's supposed to be in office. We know that didn't work out in 2020 on the up and up. But anyway, that's besides the point right now. This is Bobby McNeely and Matthew Alvarez. It's the top of the hour. We'll be right back here on Right Side Broadcasting Network.
You ask and we listen. We're finally bringing the most requested offer ever. Get the queen size premium MyPillow, now only $19.98. MyPillow is made with patented adjustable fill. It adjusts to your exact individual needs regardless of your sleep position. It helps keep your neck aligned and holds its shape all night long so you get the best sleep of your life. But that's not all. Get our 6-piece kitchen or bath towel sets only $25. Our brand new mattress topper as low as $69.98. Get our famous MyPillow bed sheets for as low as $25 and so much more. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to get huge discounts on all MyPillow products, including the premium queen-size MyPillow, only $19.98. That's the lowest price ever. Don't delay, order today. From all of us here at MyPillow, thanks America!
Hey y'all, it's Silk from the Diamond and Silk Chit Chat live show. Look, don't forget to check me out right here on RSBN Network. Be sure to watch the show on Right Side Broadcasting Network, and I want you to support Right Side Broadcasting Network. Yes, it's imperative that you do so, okay? I look to see y'all soon. Bye-bye.
Welcome to the Right Side Broadcasting Network. We're not like the other media outlets out there that cut and edit what other people say. In 2015, we were created by our founder, Joe Seals, to cover President Donald J. Trump's speeches and rallies, to which we continue to do to this day. We've also covered important conservative events like CPAC, tvOS, March for Life, and many other important events and hearings around the country. We were made for people like you, everyday Americans who are tired of the mainstream media, who are tired of being lied to, manipulated, and fed an agenda. Our goal here at Right Side Broadcasting is to allow you to see the truth, giving our correspondents and commentators a wide latitude to speak their minds. You won't find anything like this in the mainstream media. Your support through your donations, locals, and supporting our advertisers allows us to continue to cover important events around the country each and every day. So, from us here at Right Side Broadcasting, thank you for supporting us and the right side of history.
Hi folks, RSBN founder and CEO Joe Seals here. Did you know there is nearly $1 trillion of infrastructure and pandemic funds yet to be spent? That's right, there's a massive amount of money that the lame duck administration is pushing hard to spend in their last few months. If the president is able to push these funds out, we could see another prolonged inflation surge, just like during COVID. And I'm sure you remember the terrible effects that high prices had on most Americans. But there's hope. A surge in prices can be beaten. A gold IRA from Birch Gold Group is the ultimate inflation hedge for your savings in uncertain times. To see how to protect your IRA or 401k, get your free info kit on gold by texting the word Trump to 989898. Birch Gold makes it seamless to roll over your retirement account while preserving your tax advantage status. Don't wait for the president's spending spree to tank the dollar further. Protect your financial future now. Text Trump to the number 989898 for your free info kit from Birch Gold.
Welcome back to Right Side Broadcasting Network here in Studio A at Right Side Broadcasting Network with Bobby McNeely. I'm Matthew Alvarez.
The great Matthew Alvarez.
Wait a minute. He usually says the Magnificent, so I mean...
You called me great last time.
That's what it is.
It is the Magnificent.
All right, well...
I'm making mistakes with your nickname. My apologies.
Get the nickname right, Bobby. No, I'm kidding.
It's Friday.
All good. Just having a little bit of fun here, of course, but we are getting ready to go to Charlotte, North Carolina, of course, for President Trump's speech, which will be at 4 o'clock Eastern. 3:45 will be the pre-program. Great to be with you guys here. We are two people that used to work in mainstream media, but are so happy to be in conservative media, in what is sharing the truth of what's going on out there, and also not fronting with you. You know what I mean? A lot of times anchors and reporters and big networks or whatever, they're just kind of putting on a show. We actually are regular guys that just, do this for a living as well. But we're here with you, the American people, because we're on the same team. We want the country to be safe just like you do. We want to have our freedoms just like you do. And that's why we've dove into this, especially for the next 60 days and beyond, to just bring as much truth and as much awareness and as much of the true narrative. Even if it's stuff that you guys have heard a million times, I think the point is to keep the true narrative alive, right? And to always have something on the other side to talk about, other than what the left wing has been trying to do for years, is just lie, lie, lie. With President Trump, it's a love fest. With the left wing media, it's a lying fest over there.
And I think about Carrie Lake, who's running for the U.S. Senate in Arizona. She was a very successful anchor for Fox 10 out in Phoenix, did a wonderful job. I actually had the pleasure of meeting her years ago when I was working for Turning Point USA, and spent some of my tenure actually out in the Phoenix area when we moved those offices from the Chicago area to Arizona, and had no clue where she stood politically, but thought, what a great lady and what a great journalist who took her craft seriously, really going in there, finding the information and letting you decide, the viewers. And that's what we're here to do at Right Side Broadcasting. We are the only network that will bring you full coverage from before a MAGA rally to during and then afterwards, just to bring you some analysis and the totality of President Trump's speech. One of the things that's been flabbergasting recently, just being part of some of these, and I was with the wonderful Megan Kohler out in Asheboro, North Carolina, I noticed that Fake News ABC right next to me, they would cover their hits right after President Trump's speech, saying that he is again attacking Kamala Harris. But here's the thing, he was criticizing policy, calling her comrade Kamala, because quite frankly, she deserves the title at this point. Look at what she's been proposing, from price gouging. She calls it price gauging. But then on top of that, KamalaHarris.com, to this day, to this moment, you cannot find a platform for her and Governor Walz. But we know the crazy policies that they've tried to put forward, whether it be in Washington or Minnesota.
So we know the GOP 20 promises to the American people. If you guys don't know about that or haven't heard about that, that's all right. All you have to do is look it up a little bit. You can go to our website, rsbnetwork.com, or search on DuckDuckGo if you'd like, and just type in 20 GOP platform promises. Most likely would take you to President Trump's campaign page. Do want to give a shout out to a number of our RSBN correspondents, Nikki Stanzione, Titus Ellis Smith, who worked with me in Johnstown the other day, Mike Fortin and Christina Loren, who will be in Wisconsin tomorrow, Megan Kohler, who worked with you recently, and of course Paul Ingrassia, doing awesome with a lot of Substacks that get re-truthed by President Trump. It seems like every other day. So it's just a lot of good truth there. And then of course, all the people behind the scenes at Right Side. We just want to bring you obviously a little bit of commentary, and also President Trump's speeches. And then of course tomorrow in Wisconsin, all the people that we'll be able to talk to there live. So Mike and Christina there with boots on the ground, of course. And without you, the viewer, and also our great sponsors like Birch Gold Group, all you got to do is text Trump to 989898. Now, we believe in this product because also gold, silver, and precious metals is always good to have when it comes to the U.S. dollar, especially fluctuating with those BRICS nations. And as you see there, this is a free fight silver coin, a free fight silver coin. We'll show it to you right there. This is the coin that you'll get. All you have to do is go to Trump to 989898. I know it's hard to see with the lights flashing on it. Maybe we'll get a better vantage point of that a little bit later. But text Trump to 989898 for more information on Birch Gold Group. Those BRICS nations, Bobby, out there, man, they're trying to devalue the U.S. dollar, and it's always good to have gold, silver, and precious metals.
Right, and this is such a wonderful group. It's backed by great patriots like Ron Paul, Dan Bongino, Steve Bannon, just to name a few. And to your point, Matthew, yesterday at the Economic Club of New York, and even today, President Trump talked about how we need to protect the petrodollar and keep the dollar as the world's currency. We've seen a change of a half century, 50 years of U.S. foreign policy to have the dollar now failing, to have inflation through the roof, our national debt, trillions and trillions of dollars. So that does affect you, the American taxpayer. A great way to protect yourself is with gold, silver, and precious metals to diversify into tax-sheltered retirements. This could be in addition to your 401k or your IRA or any of your current retirement plans. So text Trump to 989898 and do what's best for you and your family.
Definitely, and it actually comes into a nice sleeve with it. I'm looking for where the sleeve is here. Here it is. So you'll get the nice sleeve right there with the, well, there you go. They're showing it again. So you'll get one of these here if you get one of the products at Birch Gold Group. So this is the Free Fight silver coin. Always good. Thank you guys so much for sending us these coins to show to the people as we look for you to text Trump to 989898. All right, so welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network. It's 3 o'clock, 3:13 on the East Coast. President Trump to speak at 4 o'clock. And tomorrow in Wisconsin is going to be great. I mean, the country gets inspired every time President Trump speaks. Also, the pre-program speakers. And one other point, Bobby, I know that, you know, again, college football is here and it is fun to watch games. It's fun to see a movie and fun to do things like that. But on the back of our minds, the most serious thing right now, at least mine and I know yours, is for President Trump to win this White House in November. It's
crucial. We have a situation where it is liberty versus tyranny, capitalism versus communism. It harkens back to the 1980 election where Ronald Reagan was taking on then President Jimmy Carter. Inflation rates were never higher in the United States. We're very close right now. And so much more is at stake with really global interaction like it's never been with such advanced technology. We saw the Ukrainians now have technology that blows fire. It's a dragon drone that goes by. I'm not sure on the proper name of it, but it goes into trenches and just blasts fire at 2,500 degrees Celsius, killing everything in its path. President Trump will know how to speak with Vladimir Putin, Zelensky, Xi Jinping. He's ready to take on, again, Little Rocket Man and those elements in the world who want global domination. Clearly, Bibi Netanyahu believes in his leadership, having visited Mar-a-Lago just last month. And of course, our Israeli brothers and sisters we are praying for on a regular basis. They have been under such assault from Hamas and Hezbollah and radical elements surrounding them. ISIS is on the move. Al-Qaeda has grown once again. This is all because of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris's failed policies. We need to make America great again and the world safe again. So we remember the Hulkamania, right, with Hulk Hogan at the RNC, and he was calling everybody Trumpites, right? Right. And while you're talking there, I'm like, you know, what you're saying is the script of the truth, right, of the content that is the Agenda 47 agenda, right? And I speak the same truths as well.
but many of you out there, I know that you believe the same thing. So all of us out there are on Team Freedom. You know, we all are in this together. It's the independents and the Democrats that, if you want to send this link or text to someone to let them know, hey, why don't you tune into Right Side, watch President Trump. I hear these two guys named Bobby and Matt, you know, talk on TV about the truth and the true narrative as they get ready to decide who they want to vote for, and hopefully win the hearts and minds of this country in order to have our country be saved. Let's go back to another great sponsor that we were thanking earlier, the Kids Guide to President Trump. Bobby.
I love these so much because they go into the heart of the topic. They go into policy. So they're awesome for our future voters and for those kids that might be indoctrinated in their schools. But you just have questions on the back, like this free Kids Guide to Fighting Indoctrination. What is exactly indoctrination? Why do people indoctrinate? Is it done online and on TV? Why is the media seeking to do this, that, and the other? Can indoctrination happen in school? We go to the Kids Guide to America's Greatness, America's Unique Beginning, Liberty and Justice for All, the Civil Rights Movement, Defending Liberty Abroad, and more, and especially top 10 reasons why America is awesome, which I like so much. And of course, the Kids Guide to President Trump. Who is President Donald Trump? Returning the power to the people. What did he achieve while in office? And why is Trump running again in 2024? I just love these. And they also might be good for your neighbors who are not really paying attention. A great way to, I don't know, bring over, you know, some wine and cheese on Friday night. Get ready for the Packers and the Eagles tonight. Say you're going to watch that game that's happening in Sao Paulo, Brazil. A great diplomatic relations trip as well. Our NFL is embarking on. Hey, if you're going to kick back and enjoy the game with some neighbors tonight, maybe bring some kids guys over and talk about what's happening in the world. A completely appropriate way to do it that's disarming, but also to engage and educate our future voters. freetrumpbook.com.
3:45, the pre-program will start there in Charlotte, North Carolina, as you see on the left side of your screen, 4 o'clock. As you see there at the bottom of your screen, President Trump will be speaking there to the Fraternal Order of Police. We saw earlier today at Trump Tower, if you joined us on the other stream here on Right Side Broadcasting Network, President Trump was refuting all of the lawfare cases that are coming against him, that have been coming against him. We know, interestingly enough, that how many months since July 13th are we? It's August. We're pushing, 2 months now?
Just about 2 months.
About 2 months ago, we saw the heinous act unfold there in Butler, Pennsylvania. And they're still wanting to try and talk about some bill or some false charge or something against him. It's just ridiculous that they're throwing these things at him. On top of that, all of the vitriol in the media towards somebody that did great things for our country. So we understand that he's standing for so many awesome foundational truths of this nation, and that's why they're coming against him so much.
It's so true, because he has pulled back the curtain, and there is a deep bureaucratic state, regardless of where you are on certain issues. And that's what's so interesting about the California Democrat leaders who have become Republicans in the State House and the State Senate, or whether that's been Misha Maynor, I just think about in Georgia. She fought for education reforms. Her fellow Democrats tried to stop her, and she said, I've had enough. I am going to fight for the people in my district, which is right down the street from where Martin Luther King grew up. It was a civil rights issue, education access. She became a Republican. The highest profile endorsements, Tulsi Gabbard, RFK Jr., Bobby Kennedy, and Tulsi also saying, quite frankly, look, we don't agree with President Trump on everything, but on the core issues of liberty and on the core issues of fighting for free speech, for election integrity, for the middle class, for those who want clean air and clean water, you need to vote Trump. And I thought, wow, that's a game changer to happen this late in the presidential election, coming off of the heels of a Democrat national coronation. A convention that had free vasectomies and free abortions happening outside of the United Center just makes me sick, growing up being a Bulls and Blackhawks fan and a Chicago fan, to see that outside of that beautiful stadium. Oh, and another side note about that stadium isn't that big. They try to make it look a lot bigger than it was, and that's probably one of the larger groups of people she'll actually have at a rally, but I digress.
No, but that explanation there is something I thought about as well, and I'm sure many of you at home, you know, on your iPhone, if you have your phone, if you want to take it out right now, if you're not watching on live TV right now with it, there's that part where it goes 0.5, and it actually widens up the whole screen, right?
Right.
So when you're doing a video and you pull back on this 0.5 zoom, right? It's exactly the kind of cameras that they're working with there. They're pulling this shot and it looks like, oh wow, it's so it's not. It's not.
And you could do amazing things with that. I mean, we saw the boat rally you did, the
Yeah.
Trump boat rally here in Alabama, and that was just gorgeous footage you got with the drone and with your iPhone.
Yeah. So always good to be able to use the technology. We got to use it for good, of course. But you know, at the DNC there, just those wide shots, just kind of ridiculous, kind of fake news. You know. Anyway, we'll continue on a little bit later about that. And if we want to show that Auburn boat parade, just let me know, guys. We can show that again. We showed it yesterday. If you want to see it, maybe say something in the chats. If you bug us enough in the chats, maybe we'll do it for you. Because in all seriousness. The video, if you want to see the boat parade, the Trump boat parade, yesterday's broadcast, the Economic Club of New York, that broadcast, we did show the boat parade there. So if you want to take a look, you can hop over to that. And we're going to go with RSBN Donate right now. All you have to do is text RSBN to 801-801. And, you know, any kind of $1, $2, or you know, if you have more than that, great. If you can help us out, that'd be awesome. If you can't, I totally understand. We totally understand. But we aren't bought and paid for by any of these woke corporations out there. So we've got great sponsors here, and all of you viewers, when we're there tomorrow in Wisconsin and Mosinee, we're going to be with you, the people, and we're going to be sharing what you're saying and hearing from you as well. And I think that's what people want to see, Bobby. They don't want to see people that are disconnected from what the genuine, authentic truth is of the country. And I think if you and I came across constantly as, you know, we're doing this over here and we're not, they know who's real and who's not. It's
true. And even earlier today with the Trump press conference, some of the bigger names, let's say, of corporate media, cable news, decided not to cover it. I think that was worthwhile to cover because it was President Trump's response. It was his legal team. They have been very transparent. And that's what I probably miss most, other than the great policies of MAGA, was the fact that you could wake up 5 in the morning, 6 in the morning, East Coast time. President Trump's probably already done 1 or 2 interviews by phone. He goes out when he's traveling, when Marine One would pick him up from the White House, would talk to the White House press corps several times throughout the day. Think about COVID. He was there doing those press conferences. He was on the front lines, solving that problem, showing that true masculine energy, not fearing, not being afraid, and going at it to communicate with the American people directly and not unafraid to take on the fake news, far left corporate establishments.
You know, years ago, maybe 10, 15, if the Republican candidate for president said there's going to be a press conference in New York City, everybody would have taken the press conference. Sometimes the major so-called networks, CBS, NBC, ABC, they would have said, you know, news bulletin, special report, and then they would show a press conference, right? I mean, there's some, you know, it depends on what kind of coverage it was at the time. Right. Mm-hmm. Today, a number of outlets, I won't name any, but they just didn't go there. One kind of did, fake news, CNN, they kind of did, but they didn't listen to what he was saying. They just said, oh yeah, he's talking there, and this is what they want to spin, as Nikki Stanzione so rightly texted me and texted you at the same time on a group text. She said, hey, you know, CNN's showing the press conference, but they're just spinning. They're not allowing the audio to come through. So again, why censor what's going on? This is not the job of journalists. Is to, yeah, okay, sometimes you share your opinion, that's part of an op-ed, but it's to report the news. And so we're here in Charlotte, obviously going to share what President Trump is saying in its entirety. The entire speech will be right there in Charlotte, North Carolina. So others might have things to hide, we don't. We just want to say, hey, we're here for you, and we want the truth to prevail.
At the end of the day, RSBN believes in you, the American people. Our network wants to bring you the entirety of all these speeches. And please feel free to share and like, subscribe on all the major platforms. We are on YouTube, on X, Truth Social, Rumble. You can find our videos on Instagram as well. Keep sharing, keep liking, and that's the thing. When people discover RSBN, I think they get excited because, hey, I wanted to watch that speech, I wanted to catch that, but I didn't get to see the entirety. Instead, I had a clip. Well, we put it out there for you so you can make decisions on your own end.
And it's always awesome to hear people out there in the field just talk about their concerns about the country and what they want to see moving forward. They know that under Biden-Harris, it's been a terrible 4 years, from everything from the economy to the southern border and possible constitutional rights being taken, right, to what it was like under President Trump's first administration. So always good to hear from we the people, because that's what this country is for, and that's what it's founded on, so it should continue that way, and that's what President Trump would do as the 47th Commander-in-Chief. The Z-Stack, this is one of our other great sponsors here at Right Side. It's the original all-natural at-home preventative. It's a vitamin for COVID, flu, and other viral illnesses. It's not just another supplement. It's a powerhouse blend of quercetin, zinc, vitamin C, and vitamin D, specifically designed to fortify your immune system. You go to zstacklife.com, so zstacklife.com, and then that promo code, 20% off.
A great idea, and look at that code, RSBN, pretty easy to remember. And we have all of these just great sponsors, but what a way to protect yourself as we go into the fall, into flu season. Of course, the World Health Organization having a bird flu summit coming up in October and talking about mass fatality management plans. Scary stuff, so make sure you protect yourself naturally and with something you can reach right over the counter, whether that be in your pantry, in your backpack, or even out on a camping trip. This will be good to have to make sure you can get the virus or the bacteria out of your system with just so many contagions in our environment.
zstacklife.com, zstacklife.com. All right, it's about 3:30 here as we await the pre-program to start around 3:45. So we see the table kind of round table type of setting there, it looks like. Maybe if our camera op can hear us at all, or if the director wants to relay, if they can zoom out a little bit, just kind of pan the room there just to see what we're looking at. As we know, President Trump will be speaking in about 32 minutes from now to the Fraternal Order of Police. For those of you that have joined us since 2 o'clock, thank you so much for sticking with us this entire time. Those of you just joining now, welcome. I'm Matthew Alvarez alongside Bobby McNeely. If you'd like to follow us on Truth Social, we're on there. And also RSBN as well, at RSBN. And I believe we're pushing 700,000 followers right now on RSBN's Truth Social. Let me double check real quick. I do know that we reached that million mark on X, which was great. And then we're at 699,000 on RSBN right now. So at RSBN for Truth Social is at 699,000. So go ahead and let's get over that 700,000 mark and hopefully upwards of a million someday in the future. As we take a look there, that's a nice looking podium there for President Trump as he will be out there talking about law and order. Let's dive into some of that real quick. When it comes to some of the cities out there, we know some of the crimes out there. Migrant crime is on an uptick, especially in like Aurora, Colorado right now.
Absolutely.
And there's also crime from the southern border as well.
And you have these Venezuelan gangs coming in, MS-13. They have just raped and pillaged Chicago, Illinois. Brandon Johnson, the mayor, doing nothing about that, literally tying the hands and handcuffing, no pun intended, the police department in Chicago. It's a scary time to live in one of our major cities and to not have the executive branch really being behind our police officers to take care of these problems. But it really stems from this open border, which was Kamala Harris's failure. She was appointed by President Biden to be the border czar, and they went against the Trump era policies that made sure the border was safe and secure, and that pushed back against these evil cartels. We know that 350,000 children have been trafficked, whether that is forced labor or even sex trafficking. God forbid, it's a horrible thing to think about. We need to save our country and save the world's children, quite frankly, because these are children from around the country coming in through the southern border, or really around the world, and we don't know who is here. There are Chinese communist spies. We found one who was just investigated, arrested, was a top assistant to Governor Hochul in New York, was working with the Chinese Communist Party. Her entire staff needs to be investigated, including her office. We know of that in recent days. And what about not only MS-13, the Venezuelan gangs? How about Al-Qaeda and ISIS? We aren't sure who is here and what cells might be existing. And we have this problem in suburbs like Aurora, Colorado, a beautiful city plagued with migrant crime.
Yeah, so we saw that video, and President Trump posted it as well on Truth Social, of the illegal immigrants that are a Venezuelan gang, and that's according to Aurora police as well, going door to door with long arm rifles and machine guns and that kind of thing. Charlie Kirk so rightly said the other day, where is the National Guard? Like, what's going on here? You can't just have that happening. So that's one thing. And then the movie City of Dreams, I believe it's called. I just watched that as well, other than Reagan the other day, talking about the migrant, the illegal immigration situation, but also the human trafficking aspect of that. So a lot going wrong, right? We know a lot is going wrong out there, but we have a solution through a conservative, we the people president named Donald Trump.
No question about that, because we saw what he did during his tenure, how manufacturing was better, steel jobs brought back to America, a strong and robust economy, being over 4% in the GDP. Even former Governor Jeb Bush, who was President Trump's 2016 rival, saying that is a pipe dream, we'll never get there. And then in 2019, in 2 short years into the Trump presidency, they achieved that. And I'll never forget that tweet of Jeb Bush saying, "Congratulations, Mr. President, you got over that 4% GDP. Look at the way that law enforcement has been disrespected since the pandemic, the BLM riots, the results of what happened in George Floyd. His case, you have the First Lady of Minnesota, Tim Walz's wife, saying she enjoyed opening the windows to smell justice, to smell the tire fires. Really bizarre and, quite frankly, weird behavior on the part of the Walz family, enjoying that. Why did he not bring in the National Guard to secure Minneapolis? So many lives destroyed unnecessarily in the last 4 years because of the Biden-Harris administration.
A shout out to the Waltz family right now who is supporting, or who are supporting, President Donald Trump. That photo, I mean, there was, 6 or 7 family members related to Tim Walz, the governor of Minnesota, and the interesting character that you see out there, talking about so many things that are so anti our country. Yesterday, using the Lord's name in vain during one of the Erie, Pennsylvania events, which I was going to post on Truth Social, but I said, well, maybe I'll talk about it right now, and I just did. So he said it yesterday. So you could watch the Erie, Pennsylvania if you like. But I mean, at the end of the day, all the back and forth about the character or the person, all of that aside, again, it's about the principles and about the policies, right? The domestic and foreign policies. What's better for our country? President Trump, when what he has done and what he wants to do is better for our country, as you guys know.
And Vice President Harris and Governor Walz, it's an open invitation. You can come here, talk to me, talk to Matthew, talk to one of our wonderful correspondents. You've only taken one interview, and that was a joint interview on CNN with Dana Bash, whereas the Trump and Vance team has taken 36 now since the ticket has come together, and more will continue to happen because Trump and Vance, they have actual policies. They have a platform of 20 promises, Agenda 47, that they will execute on, that they have done throughout being in private business or in public service. There is still not a policy platform on KamalaHarris.com. Only their backgrounds, the biographies, and a store where you can donate and purchase campaign materials. Let's be frank with the American people, and we're always happy to take you if you're willing to answer some questions.
If you joined us live right here on Right Side Broadcasting Network, we would gladly speak with you and interview you about the policies that you really want to push forward for this country. And we will see in 4 days from now in Philadelphia, where President Trump will take on Harris in that debate, what Harris is all about in front of the whole world. But we already know what she is about. This is just her hiding, trying to get over the finish line. At the end of the day, we know that this country, majority of the country, loves the Constitution and loves President Trump. Let's just be, I mean, how many signs do you see out there? Just on the, whether it's a rural area, suburban area, or in the city, it doesn't matter. I was in the Bronx, you were in Philadelphia.
Right.
We covered events with President Trump there with the campaign, and just in the sense of just covering the campaign. And people from all walks of life supporting President Trump.
Well, it's an American movement. It's not traditional Republican versus Democrat. As I've mentioned all day today with Matthew here, it's liberty versus tyranny. It's capitalism versus communism. And you have this groundswell and excitement of people who were never involved in politics before because they realize the culture is in trouble, America is in trouble, and there is one man for the job for today, and that is President Trump with his running mate, Senator J.D. Vance, who are seeking with core tangible policies to make America great again and to move it away from this siren song of totalitarianism that you find on the far left communist policies of the modern Democrat party brokers.
From Make America Great Again to Make Care Great Again, the wellness company and these great kits, the medical emergency kit and the contagion emergency kit. What kind of prescriptions are in there, Bobby? Do you remember the list?
Ivermectin, we have hydrochloroquine, we have Z-Pak. There's roughly 8 medications in there that are just not only good for your heart and soul, but everything if you need to get rid of bacteria, viral infections. Of course, I mentioned the WHO is planning this monkeypox summit, talking about mass fatality management planning. That's just frightening stuff. And in a lot of cases, you don't need a vaccine for this because Dr. Peter McCullough has brought us the truth. He's been the anti-fear, anti-Fauci doctor. He's studied this mRNA research his entire career. He's a world-renowned epidemiologist out of Texas. We've seen his testimony to the Texas Senate. MakeCareGreatAgain.com, code RSBN for 15% off. Very lightweight packs that you could put in your pantry, take on the road with you. If you're going hiking, if you're going on a road trip, just something smart to have. You could bring it on the plane with you too. So important to have with you if you're traveling.
Definitely, and always good to have a Z-Pack as well.
Right.
When a cold or some sort of virus is coming through, a Z-Pack will knock it out. And of course, ivermectin and hydrochloroquine, always good, amoxicillin, that kind of thing. So MakeCareGreatAgain.com. Let's shift over to Tax Network USA, dealing with any filing issues with taxes. You can call 800-357-1415, Bobby.
And we've had thousands of new IRS agents under the Biden-Harris tenure. They are after the American people. Tax Network USA has protected thousands of Americans, saving them in 14 years of professional practice over $1 billion, yes, that's with a B, $1 billion in back taxes or overpaid taxes. Make sure you're not being taken advantage of. We know cost of living is through the roof, whether it's food and groceries, all the way to the gas pump. We need to protect ourselves financially, in addition to morally, spiritually, and just all of the above. But Tax Network is the #1 go-to to make sure this happens, and we thank them for sponsoring us. TaxNetworkUSA.com/RSBN.
And before we go to North Carolina in the next few minutes, that 3:45 pre-program will start. And then, of course, President Trump speaking at 4 o'clock. We want to show you the free fight silver coin right here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. We'll see if we get a good vantage point of that. A little bit, there we go. Maybe we'll have to zoom in a little bit on that. But all you have to do is text Trump to 989898 and get more information on gold, silver, and precious metals. I'll show you the White House side here. Let's see if we can get that. There we go, a little bit. Again, text Trump to 989898, and you can get the free Fight silver coin and also an info kit that will be sent to you. All good information, Bobby, to learn more about gold, silver, and precious metals.
And I have to say, too, great patriots like Ron Paul Dan Bongino, Steve Bannon, all endorsing Birch Gold, and they've never led me astray with their opinions and their commentary in the American culture and everything that they've contributed as public servants. So this is the way to go. If you want a tax-sheltered retirement, dividends, diversity, a great way to go. And there's a great shot of the White House there in the back of this free fight silver coin, a beautiful coin for memorabilia or even to just collect. Text Trump to 989898. Protect yourself financially. An awesome way to do that in addition to a 401k or IRA. Some people even wanting to convert those into tangible gold, precious metals, and silver. This is the most fantastic way to do that.
Definitely. The White House, 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, is President Trump's house. It should be still his house right now, if you know what I mean. Ending a second term there would be great, but obviously that's not what happened, and here we are in 2024. And then, of course, on the other side of that coin, that moment in time, guys, man, I'll tell you, the fight. He just has what it takes, doesn't he?
And it's a moment in American history I don't think anyone will forget where they were for it. Really just shocking. I remember my heart sank at the moment. Our thoughts and prayers are still with the Campitor family. Corey Campitor, a hero firefighter guarding his wife and children as they were just simply attending a MAGA rally. And for many of those Pennsylvania politicians as well, a scary moment, the bullets coming right over their heads. And that's what these MAGA rallies are about. Look at all the people in the grandstands, in the crowd, did not hesitate. They stood their ground and they did not cower in fear, although it was a frightening situation.
President Trump will be back in Butler, Pennsylvania in October. He has said that a couple times in interviews, so we'll see what date that is and what venue. Obviously, Right Side Broadcasting Network will be there for that great day. But speaking of great days, right here, right now, Charlotte, North Carolina, President Trump to take the stage in about 15, 20 minutes. We know that the pre-program starts in a few minutes. And then tomorrow in Mosinee, Wisconsin, Mike Fortin and Christina Loren will be there live, boots on the ground there, interviewing the great patriots of Wisconsin. I'll be here in the studio, and we'll also have a live interview with Gerald Malloy. He's actually running to take Bernie Sanders' spot in Vermont. It's an uphill climb, but let's see what he has to say tomorrow. Spoke with some of his family yesterday, so they're excited to join the show tomorrow. But Bobby, as we know, coming up, President Trump to speak at 4 o'clock.
Very exciting. This will be a law and order speech to the Fraternal Order of Police, a great organization that has fully supported and backed President Trump. There's no question about it that this union is behind Trump. This is the Republican Party that is pro-family, pro-worker, pro-populist, and ready to include everyone at the dinner table and not isolate people. I think of a brother union of theirs, the International Teamsters, and Sean O'Brien, their president, the first member of that organization to address a Republican National Convention in 121 years. So President Trump knowing how to work with everyone and groups that traditionally were not necessarily Republican, but ever since the situations that surrounded BLM and the radical Marxist movements that have wanted to defund the police and blame the police for societal woes, which they were incorrect about, may I add, President Trump getting large support from our brave women and men in blue.
Also, on top of that, seeing people from all walks of life throughout our country supporting President Trump. It's wonderful to see that in cities and suburban areas and rural areas all across our land, all the way from New York, all the way to California, from Washington down to Florida, from Arizona up to Vermont, and everybody in between. We've seen it, and we've seen it happen. I know you guys have too. It's great to see that too on social media when we've got people from all walks of life. Again, no matter who you are, there are people that are supporting President Trump. This is not a race baiting situation where the left would like to try and pin white versus black or black versus Hispanic or whatever mix you want to call it. That's not what President Trump's about. That's not what we're about. We're about having our country be saved and have freedom rule and reign here. And when I say rule and reign, simply meaning the freedom that we've had and we've loved for so many years. We desperately want it to continue, and the only way that's going to happen is through the people's president.
And you can see all the footage we get recently, may I add, from the great Trump rallies. The Trump Force won their Senator J.D. Vance, who has been an exceptional running mate to President Trump. There's Asheboro, North Carolina, where they actually flew Trump Force One in right over the World War II planes in that beautiful airport. And that was a really special moment, an exciting moment. That was the first outdoor rally that I was fortunate enough to cover with Megan Kohler, the first outdoor one since Butler, Pennsylvania, and the attempted assassination. President Trump, unafraid and unwilling to back down. He is the people's president, a modern warrior, and that's where you see courage that really can't be faked. It can't be replicated unless you are a true gentleman of the highest order. President Trump always showing up to take on the powers that be. He's the ultimate outsider, a man that was successful in business. He grew up in Queens, looked to Manhattan, told his dad, look, I'm going to take on Manhattan. We're going to build the biggest and the best company, turning the Trump organization into one of the most ethical, one of the most extraordinary companies in real estate, in golf, in so many different products, everyday products that really take care of the American people, and dominating on the hotel stage and in hospitality, taking on all of those major markets and really reshaping and serving his New York City community, that beautiful town. If you can make it in the Big Apple, you can make it everywhere. And President Trump taking that outsider message back for another round as he seeks to be the 47th president of the United States.
So we're looking for peace through strength is what we got through President Trump, and back with President Reagan as well. But we know that that's exactly what happened in that first administration under President Trump. So looking for more of that peace through strength moving forward as we await the start of the pre-program there in Charlotte, North Carolina. You can see it's more of a roundtable discussion. That's a Fraternal Order of Police where President Trump will be speaking, as you see there, at 4 o'clock. And then 8 a.m. Eastern Time, right here on Right Side Broadcasting Network, we will be live in Wisconsin tomorrow. So a Saturday, beautiful Saturday in Wisconsin, and then also a speech at 2 o'clock with President Trump there. So we're moving, we're going for it, we're going to keep going. You know, at the end of the day, no matter what goes wrong or haywire in life, you got to keep going. And that's what we're doing. We keep on keeping on.
Play to your strengths in the last few days of this election. It's very important that there's hope and optimism out there, but you do the work. And there's so many ways to do that. You can visit TrumpForce47.com to see how to become a precinct captain and to get involved in the campaign. And let me tell you, I'm in on a little secret. It's not as hard as one may think. You go out there, you meet with neighbors, you meet with those who might be on the fence, which is hard to believe anyone would be there right now. But that's just the matter of fact. Not everyone is watching the political or cultural landscape as closely as our viewers, or even as closely as we are, just being gentlemen in the media. But we want to bring this unbridled coverage to you, the American people, Republicans and Democrats at home, who care about the Constitution, who care about natural law, rule of law and order. And I'm sure President Trump will touch on many of these things. So at the end of the day, we can enjoy our families, our churches, and our communities under this beacon of hope that is America.
So new into Truth Social just about 9 minutes ago from the real Toria Brooke, the Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban calls for an end to migration and stronger borders while speaking at a forum there. This was on X and on Truth Social as well. So we see not only President Trump speaking for the southern border and for the northern border, but for the migration, the illegal immigrants to stop coming into the country. You have to go through the right channels. That's just the way it is to keep the safety of this nation. Directors, in the meantime, while we're awaiting the start of this program, that boat parade is about 2 minutes, 20 seconds long. Maybe we could play that now. If the program starts, we can go right to the program. So just let me know if we can get that boat parade on ready to air here on Right Side. This was a boat parade from this past weekend in Alabama. A lot of great people that showed up there. Always fun to see people just out there with the flags, enjoying the sun, but also in one support of our country.
Right, and it's so exciting to see people really get into this movement. You took a wonderful shot with the drone and also your iPhone. It's incredible footage, but really exciting to see the folks in Alabama excited for what's going to be 2 months of really the final quarter, the final push for the MAGA movement to get President Trump over that hump and reelected as president.
And we spoke to a number of people there, business owners who are concerned if Harris were to be president, what that would mean for their business. We already know the cost of business. I mean, talking about that, even in construction or whatever industry you're in, everything's just gone so high. So it's like, all right, come on. The American people are being pressed so much right now, and it's a lot of stress, I'm sure. So we need to get back to what our country once was, and even better moving forward to the future. And I'm sure people around the world that are love freedom, would like to be here, but also have freedom in their own land as well.
Right, and the world is watching. There's no doubt about it. Those who would seek to do evil and harm, these out-of-control wars, the stalemate that is Russia and Ukraine right now. Look at Israel and how they've been attacked. President Trump is so true. October 7th would have never happened. You would have never had this 2+ year conflict between the Russians and Ukrainians if he was still in office, because he kept the bad actors at bay. They either feared and or respected him. And it's that peace through strength foreign policy that will make a massive difference, not only for our country, but for countries throughout the world.
Once again, if you're just joining us, we are awaiting the Fraternal Order of Police pre-program to start. President Trump will be speaking within the next maybe 10-15 minutes. Obviously, slated for 4 o'clock. We'll bring it to you live as we get it. Now, again, if you're also just joining us, 93 electoral votes up for grabs out of the 7 swing states. Charlotte has, or actually North Carolina has 16 of those votes. A state that has, as we spoke yesterday about this, voted red in 2016 and in 2020.
They have a robust program, a great North Carolina GOP. Of course, Mr. Michael Whatley was their state chair. He is now the national co-chair with Laura Trump, doing an extraordinary job for election integrity, boots on the ground, and also having the appropriate lawyers in place to make sure there's no funny business. And Jason Simmons, who we actually had the pleasure of interviewing in Asheboro, North Carolina. He is the new chairman of North Carolina, doing an extraordinary job with the GOP there. And we're excited to see really a must-win state in so many ways. Of course, Mark Robinson, the great lieutenant governor who's seeking to become governor, a person who is extraordinarily articulate and aggressive in a positive, patriotic manner, looking to serve that beautiful Tar Heel state as well.
Team Trump just posting on Truth Social just about 4 minutes ago, Kamala can't bring down the price of anything because her energy policies are driving up the cost of everything. That, according to President Trump as well, a quote there from Team Trump. So we're seeing a lot of news go on regardless of what the left wing tries to say is a news headline, right? The headline is simple. Do we want our country to have freedom, or do we want our country to go away from freedom? That really is the story headline, is it not?
It really is, and it's what it boils down to, liberty versus tyranny. And not to oversimplify such complicated positions, but I don't think we've ever seen this contrast, at least perhaps since 1980. It harkens back to the movie Reagan and that special scene, if you have not seen it yet, where then former Governor Ronald Reagan of California addressed then President Jimmy Carter and said, really, this election is simple. Are you better off than you were 4 years ago? If so, you know the course to go. But if not, perhaps consider another path, another candidate. And this is clear as day as it was back in 1980.
Spoken very well, Bobby.
Thank you so much.
I was watching the movie as well, and it's pretty much exactly what he said. I think you got 95% of it.
I like to be 95%. That's a good percentile.
That is a very good percent. I'm just messing with him. Yeah, Reagan's a great movie, and so is City of Dreams. Because the inspiration from these movies, but also provides hopefully action, right? It's wild to see that movie Reagan, though, to see that we're dealing with some of the similarities, with the communist kind of way. It's something that we're just not used to. I'm personally not used to thinking that our country can go towards a communist, way. We didn't see that between 2016 and 2020. And then we saw COVID and we're like, what the heck was that, right? And then we continue on, and now we're faced with the biggest fork in the road that our country has seen probably ever.
And that's what I really enjoy about the movie. And this is not necessarily a spoiler alert, but Jon Voight's character actually narrates it from a Russian perspective, which makes it all the more interesting, not only looking at the life and history of how Ronald Reagan, the outsider, some said the cowboy, came in to make sure that America would be that shining city on the hill, but to have it from a Russian KGB perspective, really fascinating to look all that, and how communism destroyed that beautiful, flourishing country, the tradition, the Russian tradition, amazing. The Eastern Orthodox Church was destroyed by the Bolshevik Revolution. And President Reagan was right. Freedom is only one generation away from extinction. That's why it has to be passed along. It does not come naturally through the bloodstream. So we must fight for that peacefully and patriotically every day.
So let's go to the Lake Martin in Alabama, this boat parade just a few days ago. What we're going to do is we're going to play this. It's about 2 minutes, 25 seconds long. You might have been hearing Bobby talk about it with how I used my iPhone, and I ran into a guy there that had a drone, and this is the video that we made. But before we go to that, as soon as the event starts there in Charlotte, of course, we'll break right to that. And I'll tell you where you can watch that video a little bit later. But let's watch it right now until President Trump takes the stage.
This country is in trouble, and we've got to have Trump back in office. If we don't, we're all going to suffer. I'm a small business owner. I have a couple of restaurants on a beautiful lake at Lake Martin, but I can assure you that it would make me very nervous if Kamala Harris was our leader. We don't need Kamala. We need Trump back in office. So I hope that you'll get to the polls. Let's get it done. We got to get Trump back in office.
It's great to be an Auburn fan, an Alabama fan, but most importantly, it's great to be a Trump American.
USA! USA! USA!
This is just phenomenal, the support he's got in Alabama and the support he's got in the whole country.
I started campaigning for Trump because he took a stand for putting up a wall, and we need that wall. And so I became a Trump delegate in 2016, 2020, and 2024.
You gotta make time. You gotta put off and go vote. I got a family too, and I'm gonna be deliberate about it and go vote.
USA! USA! USA!
Trump is America. Trump holds the values that I grew up with. He wants to run our country for all the people.
So a nice day there on the lake in Lake Martin outside of Auburn, Alabama. There was some country music that I wanted to play on that video as well. That was music from iMovie. You know, it's copyright free, so you're allowed to play that music. But think about the amount of patriotic songs that we could play under there. Maybe we'll try and get some rights or permission to put some more kind of fun music, but still at the end of the day, a great time out there in Lake Martin, Alabama.
Maybe our friends over at True Social can maybe arrange something with John Rich, maybe a new country song. He's been doing some great patriotic music.
And one of those songs, one of the songs is Revelation. John Rich has a great song there, a number of them out there. Some news just into RSBN here at about 2:54, so that's 3:54 Eastern Time. President Donald J. Trump announces Dr. Ben Carson as a National Faith Chairman for the 2024 campaign. So that just in. Also, it looks like there's a Trump campaign memo out there for the blue mirage of mail-in and early ballots. We'll get to some more of that information in just a bit. And Bobby, you have something as well.
And it's official as well as of this afternoon. The FOP, the National Fraternal Order of Police, the nation's oldest and largest police labor organization, will support Trump on Election Day. It's official before he presents to this group. We saw with some state and local police organizations having already endorsed the president, but now it's official from Washington, D.C. Patrick Yos, national president of the Fraternal Order of Police, announced today that the members of the FOP voted to endorse Donald J. Trump for President of the United States. A memo going out this afternoon.
Awesome stuff right there. So again, the Fraternal Order of Police right there, starting any minute now. And then of course, President Trump will be sharing his message with the great law enforcement of the Tar Heel State. And again, you know, every time President Trump's around law enforcement, man, they're taking photos with them, and they're proud to be with President Trump. And you think about the song, or you think about the phrase, proud to be an American, right? Well, we want to continue to be proud to be an American under a people's president, the we the people candidate, Donald Trump himself. So, and think about the amount of people that he's impacted already, Bobby. He's impacted you, he's impacted me, right. He's impacted this network, he's impacted countless millions of people, more than 100 million people across this land that are voting for him, in my opinion, right? You look at the numbers of the polls, you see the people out there, boots in the ground, and then around the world, you see a lot of people that just say, hey, I want freedom and I want America to be free, because that'll probably help my country too.
In essence, this boy from Queens grew up learning the business from his dad and made it bigger and bolder than ever before. The Trump Organization, affecting millions of lives, as you said, Matthew, and thousands of employees that they've had through hospitality, real estate, the golf world, various projects that have been so successful. The man has taken on the world by the horns. He doesn't back down. He's dealt with city councils. He's dealt with builders. He's dealt with labor unions. And now he's taken on the most corrupt entity perhaps the world has ever seen, and that's the Washington bureaucratic swamp, the deep state of Republicans and Democrats. Doesn't matter the letter next to their name. It matters where their heart and their intentions, where they truly lie. And President Trump, being that outsider, bringing his business knowledge and acumen to make America great again.
Again, just in, President Trump announces Dr. Ben Carson as National Faith Chairman for 2024, the campaign. Talk about a rock star, Dr. Ben Carson.
He really is, and you're seeing so much of a faith wing going at this, mobilizing the Christian vote, even yesterday as well. And I'm sure Dr. Ben Carson, with this new role, will be helping to oversee this. You have another group, Catholics for Trump, coming out, and as President Trump has said on many occasions, if you're Jewish or you're Catholic and you're voting for Harris and Waltz, you might need your head examined, because everything they're proposing does not support you culturally, religiously, spiritually, or really anything that your temple or your church supports at the end of the day. So you have to really examine this closely. And I could speak on that as a practicing Catholic Christian myself. Let's get our heads in the game and let's defend the values we deeply believe in, because it's going to affect not only our church communities, but us as individuals and our family members.
If there's ever a time for us to press in and seek God like never before, it is now. Let's not wait, a couple months down the road or tomorrow. Let's do this together as a family of believers in this country. And again, if you're not a believer, hey, that's your choice, right? You have your own choice of your freedom. But the point is, still though, outside of that, President Trump running to be president of all of America, we still desire freedom. We still desire to be able to live and make have a family and also have a job, that kind of thing, and not have our constitutional rights taken away from us, not having someone tell us how to live, but to be free from, hey, you know what, staying within a moral compass, being able to be successful in this country. And that is one of the 20 promises that President Trump talks about in the GOP platform, success being the retribution in a way too.
That's so true, and that's why it's become a big tent movement, and you have people like Robert F. Kennedy Jr., Tulsi Gabbard, Democrat leaders in state legislatures throughout the country, whether it be Georgia, California, and everywhere in between. It's because they fundamentally believe President Trump's MAGA policies, you should not be persecuted for personal belief systems. If you look at people like, even in the media realm, Sage Steele, other ESPN reporters who were fired simply for sharing an opinion off air on different podcasts.
Was it Samantha Ponder? Is that
Samantha
her first?
Ponder,
Yeah.
yes. Actually, she was moved away for talking about cultural and political issues that were on her own time or even adding to the dialogue. When you saw ESPN back 4 years ago openly talking about the George Floyd riots, the BLM riots, giving a left-wing perspective on that, and that's fine and dandy. That was the opinions of their employees, but those opinions were not canceled, were not terminated. But you have people like Samantha or Sage going out there on podcasts, sharing some discussions, really not bringing one side or the other, but pointing out certain hypocrisies and then being terminated by Disney and by ESPN, their direct employer, as a result of that. That's not freedom of speech.
Exactly. I mean, Samantha Ponder, I believe it was referring to men and women's sports. She maybe made a comment or retruthed something or retweeted, or now it's called reposted, something when it was the Olympics out there in Japan.
Paris, France, actually.
Paris, France.
But we will probably have it in Japan in the future, because I don't think we should have it in France anytime soon with their antics, disrespecting Christianity, et cetera, et cetera. What is happening in France, my friends? We need to get that one together.
So Bobby picking it up for me there, because the reason why I didn't really remember where it was at, because I didn't watch any of it. I saw what happened in Paris with the whole beginning of the Olympics, and it's just woke. It's unfortunate, because you want to watch sports. I've always liked watching the Summer Olympics and the Winter Olympics, but after what happened there, I totally forgot even what country it was in. That's how bad it was.
Well, it was great to see athletes, too, in response to all that. And it wasn't simply for that reason, but they dedicate their lives to pushing the beauty of the human body, mind over matter, physical ability to glorify God. People like Sydney McLaughlin, our great track runner for the United States, always praising God. Some of them even pushed and criticized by Western civilization media, corporate media, not only from the United States, but throughout the country, especially the UK, questioning them as to why they have such a deep faith and them standing their ground. I think of Simone Biles, our great gymnast, who her husband actually happens to be a Chicago Bear, so little shout out there for my hometown, Windy City, Chicago Bears. Let's pray to God that that's a good season, but I digress. Awesome to see our athletes praising God, honoring them, because they know they have these large platforms.
Speaking of that, Tim Tebow, I apologize to you. I wish that didn't happen to you in the NFL. Just because you spoke about your faith, you got blackballed, blacklisted, or whatever it's called, and it's unfortunate that happened. But, he's out there doing his thing now as a sportscaster.
Yes,
so.
SEC Nation, that's one of my favorite morning shows on Saturdays when I'm not covering any of these Trump rallies, to tune in and see what's going on in college football world, and them sharing inspiring stories of how sports can change people's lives for the better. Not only that God-given innate ability within us to help us through difficult times or to heal us through difficult times, but to also glorify God in the process, because ultimately we are his creation, made in his likeness and image.
Amen. And every knee will bow and every tongue will confess Jesus is Lord, according to the New Testament, for those that believe out there. We know that President Trump will be speaking here soon, 4 o'clock, about 10 minutes after 4 on the East Coast. I'm Matthew Alvarez alongside Bobby McNeely. Tomorrow will be a great day as well. Wisconsin for a rally with President Trump. It's going to be great there, up there way north of Alabama, of course, but still yet a huge swing state at play there. We're looking at 10 electoral votes in Wisconsin. Today in North Carolina, 16 electoral votes. And again, it's that 270 to win. That's what everybody will be talking about come November 5th. And again, I want to bring up the 526 electoral vote win over 13 electoral votes back in 1984, Ronald Reagan over Walter Mondale. It was quite interesting to see the whole map red.
An amazing victory. Would love to see that again. And some of our friends in the mid-Atlantic and East Coast states, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York, making comments. I saw one on True Social. One of the golfers who visited Bedminster ran into President Trump, which is a fairly common occurrence if you go there and enjoy some golf at one of the public or private clubs. Gentleman actually saying everyone loves what Trump is talking about in New Jersey and New York. So very interesting to see if he'll throw some surprises in there. Of course, the iconic Chicago Tribune news article on the front page of President Truman holding up Dewey defeats Truman. That wasn't the case. We saw it back in our lifetime, 2016, of President Trump knocking down that blue wall in the Midwest. And he's going to the Dairyland tomorrow to meet with our manufacturing base, the great steel workers, mill workers, energy workers, and farmers that have made this country the greatest in world history, and those are the people who will make a difference in this election.
100%, and that was such a great win. What an awesome time that was in 2016, 2017. And here we go again, hopefully another victory for the 47th Commander-in-Chief, as it is about 4:11 Eastern Time. I'm Matthew Alvarez with Bobby McNeely once again. As we await President Trump there in Charlotte, North Carolina, he's done a lot of great rallies in Charlotte, and then it was Asheville and Asheboro, right?
And also Charlotte as well at the end of, that was July as well. So he's been in North Carolina a lot. I've been in North Carolina a lot as a result, and we have really enjoyed our times there, whether I've been with Megan Kohler or Nikki Stanzione in the field, just having an absolute blast. And the hospitality of the Tar Heel State, really, really wonderful. And I almost want to, as an old school Chicago Bulls fan, I harken back to the Scottie Pippen, Michael Jordan, Dennis Rodman, Phil Jackson days among that legendary team. If you watched The Last Dance, highly recommended. I think it's still on Netflix, came out during COVID, unbridled access to the team. But Michael Jordan is from North Carolina, and I almost want to take that intro out there that they used for Michael as he would enter the United Center, at guard, 6'6", President Trump, I believe, 6'4", but that's the same kind of energy and electricity President Trump brings to a rally when they're indoors. I mean, these things are louder than hockey matches. They're louder than a basketball game. I mean, those decibels go up and up and up, where you're with right next to your correspondent and co-host, and you can barely hear one another. It's such an electric environment.
It is 100% that way. And isn't it interesting that Michael Jordan is from North Carolina? So 6'6" from North Carolina,
at guard,
Michael Jordan. So if you've never watched that, go ahead and check it out on Rumble or YouTube, and just type in Game 6 or 7, Chicago Bulls versus the Utah Jazz, the intro of the Chicago Bulls, Scottie Pippen, Horace Grant, so many people, Steve Kerr.
And you have B.J. Armstrong from the first three-peat. I mean, an amazing team.
Now, not a big fan of Kerr these days.
He's a little bit out there. He addressed the Democrat national coronation, and that's great too. And if Coach Kerr, you want to come on the program, you're always welcome to. Let's talk about these things, and let's talk about the culture. He's had an extraordinary winning tenure with the Golden State Warriors as well, but let's talk about why he thinks those left-wing ideologies and policy points will be better for the country, because we are a free speech network first and foremost.
Let's go to a real guy. Let's go to Dana White, UFC. How about that speech at the RNC? I mean,
that was awesome.
So many great speeches there, and so many great speeches since as you guys have heard here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. So obviously, you know, as you guys know that have been to the rallies, it is quite awesome there, and especially if it's in an indoor arena, the how loud the crowd gets. But you know, it goes deeper to me than sports, right? Sports is fun, and I love, trust me, been to a lot of sporting events. But being at a political rally that is for our country and for our freedoms, there's something that hits so deep in the core of your being when you're there at these events. And also, of course, when you guys watch right here on the right side, we have that split screen and you show the crowd, and it is talk about freedom. You know, it's freedom personified. It just feels great, and it's wonderful. And we're just believing for great things to happen in this country as we await this election that's 60 days away, and then 4 days, Bobby. 4 days, the whole world will watch. Everybody that understands English will hear a soundbite from President Trump or Harris at that debate, whether it's Sky News in England or the BBC or ABC in Australia, the Australian Broadcasting Corporation. It'll be interpreted through so many languages. I mean, people are going to watch this huge, huge event.
And the world is watching, and we know that Vladimir Putin, Vladimir Zelensky, Bibi Netanyahu, all meeting or having phone calls recently with President Trump. So good to see that world leaders are thinking that he may come back. Of course, Viktor Orban of Turkey speaking highly of President Trump, bring him back. President Trump bringing that up in a town hall just 2 nights ago with Sean Hannity regarding how the world is reacting to all this. So we're not just affecting American lives with your vote and our future as a nation, but world financial security and world security when it comes to arms. Mentioning earlier, the Ukrainians now have a horrible weapon that is a Dragon drone, and it can shoot fire from high altitudes over these trenches. And what you have now in Russia and Ukraine, whatever side of the coin you are on with that, you are having these soldiers poorly just dying and being maimed, really a stalemate happening. President Trump has pledged to bring the leaders to the table to end this immediately, and I think he'll have that ability because he showed that during his first term. He showed President Xi of China, the dictator, that he was not messing around when it came to ISIS. He dropped the mother of all bombs at the directive of the real generals, not the Pentagon generals, the TV generals, but those real generals who gave him that information in the field. He eliminated the enemy within 3 months. That was a global threat and ending the war on terror. Sadly, Joe Biden exiting prematurely from Afghanistan, our soldiers dying as a result. We've had hostages in Israel. It's been chaos on a foreign policy scale because Joe Biden and Kamala Harris do not know what they're doing. President Trump knows how to go there, not only to intimidate the enemy, but to break bread and have discussions with world leaders to ensure peace.
Well, it's exactly what he did. It's peace through strength personified. He's able to do it. He did it, and he'll do it again. And that's what some of the left doesn't want to see happen. They want the war. They want chaos. They are weak. They are trying to destroy the country. They do want to take our constitutional rights away. They do want to look like the UK right now with the amount of censorship. Or how about in Venezuela, Maduro being the president there, not by the will of the people. The same with Lula in Brazil. So we see all of this stuff happening, and you're not going to hear any of these talking points on the fake news press. The fake news media doesn't like we the people, doesn't like the Constitution, does not like Donald Trump, and he stands for all of those things.
110%. He really does, and he is the antithesis to big state, deep state globalists who only make money from really people being hurt, whether that's with their exported wars, whether it's through big pharma and other lobbyists who, quite frankly, I mean, look at the food lobby in America. We're finding more and more. I saw a picture recently from Whole Foods where it's talking about the wax on your fruit. I mean, how much more do we have to watch out for as American consumers, because people are making decisions on our behalf that truly don't have our backs. That's why we need outsiders like President Trump, people like Kari Lake in Arizona, Senator J.D. Vance, the running mate, doing an extraordinary job, and a handful of people in the U.S. Senate and the Congress, or those trying to get there now, to make our country happy, healthy, strong, and safe again.
Speaking of health, Disclose.tv is a great account to follow on Truth Social. I'm just going to be honest about that. New, just in, United States to resume mandatory reporting of COVID hospitalizations from November 1st. So the U.S. is to resume mandatory reporting of COVID hospitalizations. That just out literally 8 minutes ago. I see that on Truth Social as well. So there's just a lot going on out there. As we know, we have to hold on to our anchor, which would be our faith, but also a great leader and a great movement that we see out there every day since 2016 until now, and then hopefully beyond.
As he came down that golden escalator, he was ready, willing, and able to take on the bureaucracy and the establishment. He knew about it. He saw it firsthand. A gentleman of the highest order, President Trump, taking on city councils, taking on the world, growing an international organization, the Trump Organization, into one of the finest, most ethical businesses in all of human history, dominating in the hospitality realm, in the hotel business, in real estate, golf, and so many other entities, his casinos in New Jersey that were on the forefront, and a man who really had some failure in life, but for being a businessman, always persevered, always came out on top, not only for his employees, but beholden to his shareholders and beholden to his clients who were looking to have a wonderful time. I have a friend actually who graduated when he became a doctor. They had a family party and some friends actually at Trump Tower in New York. And his dad had told me that President Trump was, far before he was president, came by for about 20, 30 minutes just to see how everyone was doing, seeing if they were enjoying the party. And he was there along with Eric Trump. And that just shows you that personal touch, that brilliance for hospitality. I think about Undercover Boss, that's a funny show, his appearance on that a few years back, and doing those very important jobs when you show up at a hotel. The dog walking, dog sitting, house cleaning and house services in that regard, being the valet and taking the car to and from where it needed to be, really always pouring 110% into his guests. That's President Trump, and he's brought that to the American presidency.
100%. I mean, out there in the Trump Hotel in Las Vegas, I remember my wife and I were out there for a conference, and we ran into a number of people that were speaking Portuguese. They were from Brazil, but they loved Bolsonaro and they loved Trump, and they're staying at Trump Hotel, and we were just having a great time together, just kind of talking broken English back and forth. Obviously, I don't speak Portuguese, but it was still great because everybody had the MAGA hats on and that kind of thing. So a beautiful, beautiful sight there, and it's just great to see that people from other countries, how we can still connect easily through the lens of freedom, through the lens of MAGA, through the lens of President Trump. So great time there. Hope to be back someday. Obviously, Trump Tower is awesome, and he was there earlier today as we had that press conference with President Trump. Now, speaking of that press conference, he was refuting all of the lies that the left are throwing at him, all of the lawfare, right? Even though the case has been moved to November 26th, the so-called sentencing, still lawfare at the end of the day. On top of that, the mainstream press still covering for all of this by not even covering the press conference live like Right Side Broadcasting Network did in its entirety, right? Why would the Republican candidate for president not be covered in its entirety? I'm not a news director. I'm not a managing editor, right? I'm not a executive vice president at one of these huge corporations, but if I was, I would be having, whether it's the Democrat or the Republican, if they're doing a live press conference, it's for the press. Go live with it. Take it. Why didn't you take it? Why? Listen, Bobby and I will be quiet when President Trump speaks. If Biden were to do a press conference right now, I'd want to be quiet too and listen to try and understand what he's trying to say.
Exactly.
But this isn't about more talking heads that we see in the left-wing media spinning the lies to the American people. They didn't air any of it. I didn't see. I have Sling TV right here on this laptop. I've got all the major networks, and I hit the buttons, and none of them were playing it. The only one that played it was CNN, but they only showed President Trump talking, but you didn't hear it. You saw the double box like we are right now. You saw the double box where CNN was talking about President Trump and, of course, lying about President Trump and not letting him talk about these serious cases that they're trying to throw against him, major election interference that's happening in our country right now. And we're the ones right here at Right Side Broadcasting Network that showed it. And trust me, I'll shut my trap here as soon as he takes that stage there in Charlotte, North Carolina.
And you never know sometimes. He was half an hour early for the press conference. A little behind right now, but I'm sure talking important policy with those Fraternal Order of Police members in North Carolina. Sure, shaking a lot of hands in the process, and that's what he does. He goes up and down the line, shaking hands of the motorcade who's with him, taking pictures, and just showing the men and women in blue how much he does care about them and cares about their voice. This is a really amazing thing. You have to truly love your community in order to wear a uniform in this day and age.
Exactly. So this is an RSBN doubleheader. Bobby and I have been here live with you earlier today with the New York City press conference, and now as we await the start of the Fraternal Order of Police conference there in Charlotte, North Carolina. Of course, President Trump will be speaking there shortly. We thank you guys so much for joining us here on Right Side. It's about 4:25 on the East Coast, 1:25 out there on the West, and of course here 3:25 in the Central Time Zone. A gorgeous area here in Alabama. Today a little bit rainy, but by the way, just living in the South, you see a lot of sun and blue skies, a little bit humid, but it is pretty awesome to see so much sun, but today a little bit rainy here in Alabama.
And it has cooled off a bit, so a little bit of that relief from the heat. So if you're preparing to come on down to Auburn for War Eagle football, they have how many more? 5 straight more games. They have their first 6 games are all home games, so
exactly.
A great advantage for them.
So they play California coming up on Saturday, and I'm going to check the weather in Madison, Wisconsin right now. I know it's in Mosinee, Wisconsin.
But not too far from Madison.
But not too far from Madison. So let's see what the weather will be tomorrow for the event in... Oh, beautiful weather. Okay, so sunny weather, 63 degrees for a high tomorrow. So Mike Fortin and Christina Loren, wow, you got some great weather there in Wisconsin. The rest of the temperatures, 73, 80, 80 for a high. So 63 for high tomorrow and sunny skies. Almost need a coat, a light coat.
Right. Great weather for Big Ten football.
And great weather for our awesome Trump rally. We're going to see as well, I believe that this is an indoor venue in Wisconsin. Actually, you know what, now that I think about it, it's actually at an airport right there in Mosinee. So it's probably a hangar-style event where the Trump Force One will pull up to it. Mm-hmm. So it'll be quite the sight there. And of course, President Trump slated to speak at 2 o'clock tomorrow. We'll have that live coverage starting at 8 a.m. Eastern. Bobby was drinking some coffee earlier. I think I might have to drink a little bit of coffee, maybe a cold brew in the morning to get things kick-started.
It's always a good option and a great go-to, but we're in the full swing of things. And Matthew, to your point about the mainstream, and I put that in quotations, press, you think they would take a speech of such totality, such importance, given that we're less than 2 months, 60 days until the 2024 presidential election? Won't you want to hear from both sides? We have one camp that clearly is not doing a plethora. In fact, just one interview or sit down since the nomination process that made it official with Harrison Walz at the top of the Democrat ticket. But President Trump and Senator Vance combined, 36 now, moving quickly into another one, and countless rallies, countless press conferences, so much happening on this side of the campaign, on the Republican side.
So a lot of swing states, President Trump and J.D. Vance visiting, anywhere from Arizona, Wisconsin, Michigan, of course, Pennsylvania just yesterday. Actually, for the two-part interview there on Fox yesterday out of Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, today in North Carolina, tomorrow in Wisconsin. So a lot of swing states. But again, regardless of what state you live in, it's all about getting out the vote. You guys know that, I know. We're just preaching to the choir a little bit. But a little bit more about Bobby and myself. We've worked in mainstream media. I started back in 2005 when I graduated college, working in a small market in Grand Junction, Colorado. Gorgeous, gorgeous place. I do want to revisit that area. You ever been out there?
It is. It's absolutely gorgeous. The American West, there's really nothing like it.
Yeah, it's beautiful out there. It's really close to the Utah border with Arches National Park, and moved to Columbus, Ohio, and New York and Nashville and all these places. But after a while, you realize how left-wing the press really is and how much they really do not like freedom and the Constitution.
They have a real problem with the Trump derangement syndrome, as President Trump spoke last week to Moms for Liberty, and he jokingly said that there is a real symptom, this TDS, and there's a cure for it, but it seemed to have befuddled many journalists and many people in the mainstream movement. But thank God, ever since President Trump and really the last several years, you've had a countercultural move to actually report the truth, as we do here at RSBN, and give you unbridled access to the campaigns and what's actually taking place, and talking to the American people, not ignoring them as some outlets do.
So TDS, right? Trump derangement syndrome. The Trump campaign, actually President Trump himself, posted something on Truth Social, I believe it was last week, and it was a medicine for TDS. It's called Independence. So it was a little bit of a parody, kind of funny to watch, to be honest. So you'll have to look that up there. It's called Independence is the right pill, quote unquote, to take for TDS. Speaking of mainstream press, so I was looking to get a credential to the fake news ABC debate in Philadelphia on Tuesday. I received an email that the request has been denied.
Wow.
So I texted some other people in conservative media to see, are they letting anybody in conservative press in there? So we'll see what happens with that. But all I can say is freedom of the press. You're supposed to have that as a constitutional right. And interestingly enough, it's at the National Constitution Center. And it's also half a mile from where our founding fathers at the Independence Hall wrote up and approved that Constitution. So being denied any kind of press credential for a debate, quite interesting. But we do kind of see that they just don't like the truth anyway, so why would they want the truth around?
And how ironic that it is at the Constitution Center, given that we have one candidate who is somewhat like Scalia and a strict interpreter of what was written, and what was written should remain written. It is a literal document. Kamala Harris believing it's a living document, that it could just be changed willy-nilly, or it's too foreign, it's too far in the past to even apply to now. I don't think you have this much of a contrast in candidates in a very long time. One truly a libertarian at heart when you really think about it. President Trump wanting to, with his populist MAGA agenda, allow you, the American people, to make decisions for you and your family that will benefit you, giving power back to the people. Whereas someone who has clearly been a totalitarian, a communist, committed to far-left Marxist principles ever since she was Attorney General of California, and even before as a district attorney in San Francisco, Kamala Harris's record is really terrible. And sadly, the far-left agenda wants to hide that from you, whether it's the big tech oligarchs, big corporate media, or those in the Democratic Party power structure. And that's why traditional liberal Democrats like Tulsi Gabbard, Bobby Kennedy Jr., and others have left their party, and them actually saying, really, we did not leave the party. They left us. And so now we are going to be with this big tent movement that's going to make America great again.
So Gloria Romero was a Democratic majority leader in that state, California. She's not in the legislature now, but she's decided to vote for President Trump. So a longtime Democrat in California saying, you know what, no, this is way too far left for my liking, is voting for President Trump. And that's what we're seeing across a lot of the legislatures, but also the people themselves. People that maybe you're brought up Democrat, but you're like, whoa, what they're trying to do to this country, I don't want anything to do with that.
Absolutely. It's common sense at the end of the day. As President Trump has said, he does not want to be president for half of America. He wants to be president for all Americans. And a testament to these 20 platform principles adopted by the RNC in mid-July. Still, as of now, KamalaHarris.com, there is no policy platform, only donation buttons and biographies on both of the candidates. So a stark contrast to a campaign that wants to be out in the forefront, wants to talk to media, friendly or not, versus a communist ticket that is clearly hiding its agenda.
True conservatism versus true communism on the actual ballot coming up. No, it won't be written there or on any kind of machine or screen, but that's really what this is coming down to. This is not something that Bobby and I agree on and are saying. This is something that President Trump, Kari Lake and others, MTG, others, Matt Gaetz, so many people are saying. That's what we're up against right now. This isn't to, guys, this isn't to sell, airtime, or this isn't to make more money. This is none of those things, because what we're saying is actually really what we're dealing with. We really are dealing with that for this country. So this isn't just TV, and we're not just playing TV here. We really mean this, and we know you know this. So let's just keep the faith and keep positive, keep going, vote like never before, volunteer, as you've mentioned with Trump Force 47, which in Johnstown, PA, I remember running to 3 ladies there that all had their volunteer tags on, and they were saying, we're glad to do this. And it was actually easy for them to sign up.
And they're so pleasant. We really love all of those. Thank you to those volunteers who have been out there, who help with the press credentials. The lovely ladies in North Carolina always have bags of treats and goodies for everyone who comes by, especially the press, as they're giving out the badges, because they know we go for a period of time in hot weather without food, sometimes without water, and we are as prepared as we can be with the screenings. And that's another big thing when you go to these rallies. We like to remind everyone, always have a nice breakfast, stay hydrated. We're getting into some of the cooler weather, but there will probably be some hot days, especially in the Sun Belt, within the next month or so as we dip into fall and enjoy some of the fall weather. But important to do that as you're standing in long lines, and come early, because you want to make sure you get a good seat for these awesome events.
100%. So tomorrow again in Mosinee, Wisconsin. Let's go right now to Charlotte, North Carolina.
My name is Patrick Yos, National President of Fraternal Order Police, our nation's largest and oldest rank-and-file police labor organization. With us today are members of our board of directors, state presidents, and FOP leaders throughout this country who represent law enforcement professionals all across America. For over a century, the Fraternal Order Police has been at the very forefront of every meaningful advancement in the law enforcement profession. We've done so because we've achieved this by working together and having meaningful dialogue aimed at a common goal, and that is making our communities and our both safer and stronger, and advocating for the men and women who are brave enough to put on a badge. With over 377,000 members nationwide, our presidential endorsement process is thorough and inclusive, allowing members in each state to make this selection. Specific questions were posed to both candidates regarding policing in America, and candidate interviews were requested. Our members have spoken, and it is my honor to share with you the overwhelming collective will of our membership. We are honored to have with us today the former and future President of the United States, Donald J. Trump, and offer him our enthusiastic endorsement. During his time in the White House, we had a partner and a leader. Today, Mr. President, we stand with you. We stand with you and we have your back, and we're committed to work tirelessly for your election. We stood with you when you championed the First Step Act, a bold and historic effort to reform the criminal justice system. We stood with you when you established a Presidential Commission on Law Enforcement and Administration of Justice, demonstrating your true, genuine commitment to advancing policing in this country, and you did it at a time when it wasn't a political battleground it is now. We stood with you 4 years ago when the public tried to defund law enforcement across this country, and we stand with you today, and we will help make the case across America to every American why we need you back in the White House in a leadership role. So it is now my honor to welcome the next President of the United States, Donald J. Trump.
There ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. Thank you, everybody. From the lakes of Minnesota to the hills of Tennessee, across the plains of Texas, from sea to shining sea, Detroit down to Houston, and New York to LA, where there's pride in every American heart, and it's time we stand and say that I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free, and I won't forget the men who died, defend her still today, 'cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free, and I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today, 'cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA.
Thank you very much. Wow. Thank you. Well, I want to thank you very much, and it's an honor to be, and sit down, please. Go ahead. We'll stay together for a little while. This is a big endorsement for me. This is like 373,077. Boy, that's a lot of protection. That's big protection, and we appreciate it very much. It's an honor, and I'm thrilled to be back with the incredible heroes and patriots of the Fraternal Order of Police, an incredible group, and a group that's highly respected all over the country. You don't hear it, but I will tell you, it's true. To all of the law enforcement men and women here today, I respect you so much. I admire you, and as your president, I will always back the blue, as I did. I backed the blue more than any other president. I was not a defunder like Kamala. She was a defunder. She was a 10-year defunder. When you want to defund for 10 years, that's the end of that one. I think I could leave right now and you say there's no way that we're not voting for that guy. That's the ultimate, isn't it? Before we begin, big news today is that the Manhattan DA witch hunt against me has been postponed because everyone realizes that there was no case because I did nothing wrong. It's a witch hunt. It's an attack by my political opponents in Washington, D.C. And Comrade Kamala Harris and radical left opponents for purposes of election interference. That's all that was. And it's a case that should have never been brought, but nothing like that has ever really happened in the United States that we know of, at least. and it's strictly third world, banana republic stuff. Importantly, the public understands this, and so does every legal scholar, expert, and luminary, including people and just highly respected people like the people in this room are highly respected, like Andy McCarthy, Jonathan Turley, Alan Dershowitz, Mark Levin, Stephen Calabrese, David Rifkin, Greg Jarrett, Katie and Andrew Cherkowski. And even from CNN, Eli Honig. I appreciate that, Eli, because he's been great. They all said it's a case that is not a case, shouldn't even be brought, politics. But I greatly appreciate the words in the letter today from the judge. He said, if necessary, being utilized in the decision because there should be no, if necessary, this case should rightfully be terminated immediately. And as we prepare for the most important election in the history of our country, it's the most important election we've ever had because our country's going bad. You may have noticed, you take a look at some of the people pouring into our country by the millions. In addition, there was a big political victory today in a certain place called North Carolina. Has anybody heard of North Carolina? I even have a grandchild, very beautiful grandchild named Carolina. And Laura's here today. Where is Laura? Where are you? Right there. Right there. Carolina is a beauty. She's a beautiful, and Eric came. He doesn't come too often for this, you know. He'd rather do his own speeches. People would rather hear him. So it's a great couple. Beautiful children, great couple. You know, she loves this state so much, and she said, oh, don't worry, you're going to win. They love you here. And she grew up here and had a great life here. I don't know if her life is as good now, frankly. She loves this place. And she says, don't worry. I said, well, if anything bad happens, I'm blaming you. That'll be the end, right? But we've won it 4 times. We won the primaries. We won everything. We've won the primaries. And then we won just another big one. We won by a lot. And we have to win one more election. And we'll be 6-0 in North Carolina. We love North Carolina. And thank you for both being here. That's great. It's an honor. Your appeals court ruled today that Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s name should be taken off the ballot. And that sounds like a bad thing for him. It's not. It's actually a great thing. He's an incredible team player. And he didn't want anybody to be voting his name because, as you know, he fully endorsed us. He's with us. He's going to be watching out for women's health and everybody's health, and got a lot of great things to say. He's very smart, very good, great person, and very popular. So they didn't want to have, and we didn't, but he didn't either. He didn't want to have his name, so he gets some votes even though he was with us. And we just won in the court. They said, no, it has to be left up there. And some people wouldn't realize it. So rather than voting for us, they'd vote for him, and that wouldn't help us very much, would it? And so that was a big thing. It means that all of those who love Bobby, and there's a lot of them, and all of that he stands for, especially regarding the health and well-being of us, can vote. They vote for me now. So all of the Bobby people are going to vote for me, and I appreciate the decision. When I grew up, we revered the men and women that we knew as I grew up in New York, and you've all heard of New York's finest. New York's finest. Who's from New York? Oh, there they are. You guys have been. You guys, you know, New York's finest endorsed me, and they're not supposed to. They said, we don't care. We're endorsing you anyway, right? But I appreciate it. Thank you very much. I think we've been endorsed by every police group or slightly related. Even if they're slightly related, we've gotten every one of them, and I appreciate it. Just nobody we can respect more. But we also, when we look around and we see, because I consider you in this room to be America's finest, you're all over the country, all over from the country, all over the place. And we really appreciate you being here. Got to meet a lot of you backstage. Just amazing people. All you want to do is see our country be safe and prosperous, and we want to love our country, and we want to have reason to love it. The people of this country know it. We know all about you and the great job that you do. And the people of this country respect you greatly for it. So I just want to thank you on behalf of everybody, because I see it. I'm all over. And this is a group that's respected like never before. And it's probably, unfortunately, we were talking a little while ago, and it's probably also a profession that's under more danger and threat than ever before, which we hate to see. I visit a lot of families of police officers who are no longer with us, and we have to give back the power and respect that they deserve more than anybody, and we're going to do that. You're going to solve the problem. We have crime-ridden cities like we've never seen before. We've never seen anything like it, and you can do it. I said to 12 of your representatives backstage, I said, so if I give you the authorization to get rid of the crime, can you do it? They look at me like, what a stupid question. Of course we can. So we're going to be doing that, but that's why I'm so deeply honored to receive the Fraternal Order of Police official endorsement for President of the United States. Thank you all very much in the room. I know you vote on that. Thank you very much. Great honor. Thank you very much. Thank you, Patrick. I want to thank Patrick and every officer here this afternoon. It's really something I will not forget. 373,000. And, you know, Patrick just corrected the teleprompter. How did you add the other 4,000 people? They want to join so badly because they think we're going to win. Everyone now wants to be doing that. Huh? He said he doesn't think he knows. Thank you very much. So to think that numbers like that, I mean, that's a big group. That's the largest group in the country by far, I guess, right? I also want to thank RNC Chairman Michael Whatley, who used to be, as you know, the Republican Party chairman of the state, and we won the state so beautifully and frankly so easily. And he was very much into securing the vote. That's why he's the head of the whole. Look, if we can keep the cheating down to a minimum, because these people cheat. They cheat like hell. If we can keep it down to a minimum, we win easily. If we had, let's say, a beautiful vote counter, an honest person comes down from on high to count the votes, we win. I could stop campaigning. I could tell Michael and Laura, I don't have to come anywhere anymore. I'm just going to relax but we have to win, you know. Too big to rig is the statement we use. But Michael and Laura, who's the co-chair, have been working really hard. So thank you, Laura, very much. We appreciate it. Very much appreciate it. As we gather today, American cities, suburbs, and towns are totally under siege. Kamala Harris and the communist left have unleashed a brutal plague of bloodshed, crime, chaos, misery, and death upon our land. Other than that, they're doing actually quite well. Thank you. Just yesterday, 3 police officers were shot in Milwaukee, very tragically. 31 people were shot and 5 were killed in Chicago over Labor Day weekend. Can you imagine that? It's worse than in Afghanistan. We hear about Afghanistan and all these places. They don't compare with numbers like this. Baltimore is now facing the single most deadly drug crisis of any city in American history, and the number of homeless people on the streets of New York has just reached a 20-year high, and it's going a lot higher than that. Hundreds of thousands of illegal aliens. You know, you can't, according to look at all that fake news back there, but you can't. They don't like illegal migrant. They don't like illegal alien. They don't like anything. They want you to call them citizens, future citizens. You ever hear that one? Future citizens of our country. That's what they want to hear, but I don't think this room's inclined to do that. In city after city, the law-abiding citizen is forced to live in fear and danger and in filth. Mothers can't take their kids to the park. Graffiti is everywhere. The innocent are victimized in random attacks. Very brutal attacks and slayings are absolutely commonplace. Mobs of criminals walk into stores and clean out thousands of dollars in merchandise with absolutely no fear of punishment because you're not allowed to do your jobs. You can't even go to a pharmacy without everything being locked behind glass. The new thing in New York, you go to a pharmacy to buy aspirin, to buy a toothbrush, and it takes you 45 minutes to get a clerk to open up the glass because people are walking in just taking as much as they want. I don't know if you know that in San Francisco, which this woman, our opponent, I would say our opponent, I think we could, anybody in favor of her in this room, by the way? Let me just, okay, then I can safely say our opponent. But she, no, she destroyed San Francisco, but she came up with a great idea. You can steal as much as you want, up to $950, and nothing happens to you. After that, nothing happens to you also, if you want to really, when you think of it, really nothing happens to you no matter what the hell you do. Unless you happen to be running for office and you accuse the election of being fraudulent, then a lot of things happen, okay? But other than that, nothing happens. Think of that, 950, so guys are walking in with calculators. You have criminals walking in, they're adding it up because they know if they stay below 950, can you believe it? 950 is like a lot of money, isn't it? Under the Harris regime, 99% of law-abiding citizens suffer while criminals run free, and our country is plagued into literally third world conditions. In many ways, we're a third world country, but we're going to clean that up real fast. I'm here today to declare that we do not have to live this way, and when I'm president of the United States, we are not going to take it anymore. We're not going to take it anymore. Thank you. Thank you very much. And frankly, no country can sustain what we're going through with 21 million people allowed to come in from places that we don't want to talk about, but we will. Since Kamala Harris took office, she has presided over a 43% increase in violent crime, including a 58% increase in rape and an 89% increase in aggravated assault. And under Comrade Kamala, assaults on police officers are up a minimum of 32%, and many of them are not reported, and if they are reported, they're not taken down. And shootings of our police officers are up by over 16%. The day I take office is the day that Kamala's crime wave comes to an end. It's a crime wave in our country. We've never seen anything like it. And frankly, you know, we talk about all of the problems that we have, and they list them, and usually the economy is number one. To me, the number one thing that I get spoken to by the people, and I meet so many people, is crime. I mean, they can't believe it. They can't walk out of their apartments and buy a loaf of bread without getting mugged or wrapped or shot. You look at Chicago, it's like, it's not even believable. They had actually, the numbers I read to you were very minor compared to about 2 months ago, where they had 117 people shot and 17 dead in one weekend. Think of it, 117 people were shot and 17 died, and the fake news doesn't talk about it very much. But we take back our country, and we will take back our country very soon for the law-abiding citizens of America, because this is about the law-abiding citizens, not the criminals. They're protecting the criminals and not protecting the law-abiding citizens. We can't let that happen. With your help, we will restore public safety to our streets. We will bring back law and order to our nation. And we will give the heroes in blue the power to legally protect us and the respect that you deserve more than any other group of people, what you have to go through, and then you don't get the backup at all. You're going to have the backup like you never had it before. Well, you had it 4 years ago, but even more so now because they've let it get so out of control. I mean, the only thing good about this period of time, you know, we did great in 2016. We did much better in 2020, I hate to tell you. You know, we did much better. Got millions more votes. I was told if you got the same number of votes, you can't lose. We got millions more votes than we got in 2016. And in 2020, with all of that, the only thing good about it is that we see how badly things are. I think the reason the spirit is more now than 2020 or 2016 is because they saw how bad it was. It's been so bad. And we're able to do things, and you can be stronger and tougher and get your job done because they can't, even radical left people, or at least people that are leaning left, will understand that we have to clean up our crime. You can't have a country like this. There's no country like this, no country. And we're a laughing stock all over the world. Over the past 4 years, Kamala Harris and the radical Democrat Party have led a war on law enforcement in America. They're against you so strongly. As a result, families that do everything right and carry this country on their shoulders have watched helplessly as their communities dissolved all around them. Kamala Harris and the radical liberals force anarchy on the American people while they live in safety, in many cases behind walls. You know that? Nancy Pelosi has a big wall wrapped around her house. Of course, it didn't help too much with the problem she had, did it? But she had a big wall wrapped around her house. But then she says, we don't want to, you have no idea what it was to get the wall done. Kamala Harris opposed me, Nancy Pelosi, everybody, the Democrats largely, not all of them, but they largely opposed it, but we got it built. I actually took it out of the military. I considered it an invasion because dealing with Congress is so crazy. I said, okay, ready? We're going to take $10 billion out of the military budget. You're going to buy about 3 less Army tanks, and we're going to build a wall because this is an invasion of our country. As soon as I said that, everybody said, you're right, and we did. We built over 571 miles of wall, and that's what gave us the best. We had the best border numbers in history, and now we have the worst border numbers in history. There's never been anything like it. And I pulled down a chart, if you remember, about 2.5 months ago on my right. I said, I'm so proud of that chart. Now I love it more than almost anything in the world. I love it more than I even love the police. Can you believe it? No, I pulled down a chart. I always look to my left, always. And I seldom use it. I use it maybe 20% of the time for speeches. But it's always on my left. It's always at the end of the speech. And this time at the beginning of the speech, I said, pull down that chart. And if I didn't turn, I wouldn't be speaking with you today. So I love that chart. That chart is beautiful. I love that chart. I pulled it down. I said, boy, that is one beautiful. That's one beautiful, the yellow and the blue and the red, right? Anyway, but what that chart showed and shows is the numbers. You see, it went way down to almost nothing, and that was my final week in office, and then it went like a rocket ship right through the sky. We've never had anything like it. No country's ever had anything like it. Wealthy liberals destroy cities with defund the police, and there's still that movement that you just can't shake it. And sanctuary for illegals while they move further into gated compounds. They set loose violent repeat offenders with no bail while Marxist prosecutors harass and threaten police officers who protect the hardworking citizens. They don't want you to protect the people. It's hard to believe, actually. You know, sometimes you say these things, and as you're saying them, you're saying, is that right? But that's right. It's, it's pretty hard to believe. Like, why would anybody say, we don't want to have a border? Why would anybody say the whole world can empty out into our country even though it's not sustainable? Why would anybody say something sort of simple like we want men to play in women's sports? Why do they want to say we want men to play in women's sports? Why was that? Did you see the Olympics where they had 2 fighters, 2 transitioned fighters? They transitioned. This is the proper way of saying it. I say that just in case I don't want to get myself in trouble with the media, the fake news. And they had 2 fighters, and you see the one young lady, beautiful young lady, and she was a fighter from Italy, and she fought a transitioned person who gave her just, boom, a left jab. Now, jab, for those that don't know, fight, that's just sort of, keep it going before you give it. Boom, she backed up, whoa. Then he did another jab, and she quit. She said, I've never been hit like that in my life, right? She quit. Anyway, he went on to win the gold medal easily. And the other one went on to win the gold medal easily. But you have to see the weightlifting stats, where an eighth of an ounce is added on, and for 18 years they had a record, and some guy comes along, some transition person. Have you lifted before? No, I haven't, not much. Oh, good. Well, good luck. Let's see. It's crazy. These people are crazy, and it's so demeaning to women. Someday, these women are great athletes. The whole thing is crazy. But I know you love it, right? This man on my right, he must love that. As he sees, he's seething. I just watch him watching. He's seething as he watches this stuff, right? He's actually looking and he can't even believe it, right? He can't even believe it. Anyway, but as president, I will break the grip of the Marxists on our justice system, and I will end Kamala's war. And it's her and a group of people. But it's a war on police, and together we will launch a war on violent crime in America. We have to. We are a laughingstock all over the world. Everyone's always talking about these terrible countries to live in, that regime and this or that. But those countries don't have crime like we do, not even close. Under Harris, the number of police resignations surged recently to over 60%. You've never had a number like that. In the first spending bill I signed, I will make a record investment in hiring, retention, and training for police officers. It's so important. It's powerful, so important. And you remember when I was president, I gave you billions of dollars worth of military equipment that was unused. It was in the storage rooms. We talked about it. It was in the storage rooms. We talked about it. Remember that a few years ago? And I made it available to the police. I took such heat. They said, it looks too powerful. It looks police-like. I said, isn't that a good thing? That's a good thing. But I gave you billions of dollars. It was sitting there drawing dust, billions and billions. It had storage houses all over the country, big storage houses of trucks, and a lot of it was defensive material too, and defensive Jeeps with armor plates all over them, and a lot of great stuff. And I gave it all out to the police. Took a lot of heat. I thought it would be a popular thing. It was with the police, but the crazies out there, they thought it was just a terrible thing. They thought it looked too powerful, and you got it. And we saved a lot of lives with that equipment, right? We saved a lot of lives, and we saved a lot of rent. We also saved a lot of rent that we didn't have to pay to all these storage places all over the country. We're going to get you pay raises and reinforcements. We're going to get you reinforcements because you need them. And Harris repeatedly sponsored legislation to strip police officers immunity. It's interesting when you say the word Harris, nobody knows who the hell I'm talking about. Harris. Harris. They say, who is Harris? If you say to a person, what's our vice president's name? They don't know. Now, Kamala is an unusual name, but at least you know who we're talking about. When I say Harris, nobody knows who the hell I'm talking about. They say, who is that? So maybe we'll refer to him more as Kamala. It's a little friendlier, too, but it's hard to be friendly with somebody that wants to destroy our country. She's right now practicing. Do you know that? She's in Pennsylvania, and she's practicing for the debate. She's locked herself in a room. She's got a lot to learn. She's locked herself in a room, and they have one problem. You know what the problem is? They have MAGA people outside screaming, we love Trump, we love Trump, we love Trump, and they can't focus. Can you believe it? Just came over. They got MAGA people all over the place, and they're screaming, we love Trump, and she can't focus. That's okay. As president, I will sign legislation to strengthen protections for police officers, so important, and I will crack down on Marxist prosecutors like Philadelphia's Larry Krasner and LA's George Gascon. No, it's unbelievable. These people, you get a murderer. This guy just shot 3 people and he's out on the streets in 2 hours. It's crazy. No bail, cashless they call it. No longer will corrupt DAs be allowed to engage in selective and race-based enforcement of the law. My administration will issue hundreds of millions of dollars in federal grants to reward cities and towns and return to proven crime-fighting methods, including stop and frisk and broken windows policing. We did that with Rudy Giuliani. It was so successful. You know, New York, before Giuliani, New York was at the edge. It was a hopeless situation. And Rudy came in and he did the stop and frisk thing. And he did at numbers that were moderate, good. You can't go crazy. But they knew what they were doing. And they did the windows. And the window sounds like a ridiculous idea, but when they had all these burned out places, they made them look livable. And we went from a crime-ridden city to the safest big city anywhere in the world. You know, it's a big accomplishment. He doesn't get the credit he deserves, I will tell you that. But we'll get the homeless and the dangerously deranged, of which we have many off of our streets, and many are coming in, because I said they're coming in from the mental institutions all over the world, and we'll get them the help they need. It's a very hard thing to get the help they need, and many of these people are never going to make a comeback. You know that. They can't make a comeback. It's horrible. It's a horrible thing. But we'll make our towns and cities safe again. We'll make them clean and beautiful once again, and we'll have places that you live in the manner to which you're supposed to be living, because people are living in hell right now. Thank you. And working with local law enforcement, we will launch a federal task force to dismantle the gangs, the street crews, and the criminal networks that are ravaging our towns. This will include a 10-year mandatory minimum sentence for anyone guilty of human smuggling, a guaranteed life sentence for any guilty child trafficking, and the death penalty for drug dealers and anyone guilty of child or woman sex trafficking, which they are doing at numbers which are massive. And we're also calling for a strong death penalty for anyone who kills a police officer. Right? We'll get that done. We'll get that done. We'll get it done. Thank you. Thank you. Kamala actually claims that crime is down on her watch. Can you believe this? Crime's down. They lie. Crime's down. Crime is through the roof. They forgot to include about 9 cities that are the worst cities in the world. You know, they forgot to include Chicago and a few of the others. And that was the FBI. That's a shame. They issued stats, and everybody was surprised that crime was about the same or maybe a little bit down. And then we found out that they didn't include, just like they didn't include 818,000 jobs in their jobs report. They were missing 818. They said 818,000 more people. It turned out to be a total fraud. You know, at a certain point, it becomes fraud. When you're down by 5,000 or 10,000 people, but 818,000 fake job numbers were put in a month ago, and it was revealed by a leaker or somebody, but it came out, and it was really pretty bad. But they did the same thing on the crime numbers in order to make the crime numbers look better, which are still atrocious, but they wanted to make them look better. And Kamala's crime statistics are really as fake, essentially, as those job numbers. But you just think of it. I mean, think of it. 818,000 fake jobs they put in order to make their job numbers look better. The FBI's crime report does not include crime numbers from the most dangerous war zones and ganglands in America. Chicago, I'll tell you, the ones that weren't included are Chicago, Oakland, New Orleans, Los Angeles, San Francisco, and San Jose, which is rough. Nearly 30% of jurisdictions did not report their crime stats, and they were the ones that had the highest numbers. So that's why your crime numbers were terrible, but they didn't look as bad as they should. Crime is worse today than at any time in our country's history. Kamala Harris destroyed San Francisco. She destroyed California, and now she's destroying America. She will destroy this country. She will destroy this country. And now that people are seeing what's going on. Nobody knew who the hell she was, in all fairness. She was vice president that nobody knew. She shouldn't have been vice president. If they call a threat to democracy. She's a threat to democracy. The way they call me, threat. I take a bullet in the head, and I'm a threat. No. She's a threat to democracy. Think of it. But she didn't get any votes. He got 14 million votes. She got none. 0. She was the first one out of 22 people to leave. She left the race because she got no support. And now she's running as the Democrat candidate. And I say that's a threat to democracy. They're the real threat to democracy. They use that. That's just a standard line. Donald Trump is a threat to democracy because he wants to stop crime. These people are very mixed up people. This November, the law-abiding citizens of our country are going to tell her, Kamala, you've done a horrible job. Remember The Apprentice? You couldn't be worse, and we're not going to let you do it again. Kamala, you're fired. Get out of here. Get out of here. It is true, though. I mean, she got no votes, and now she's running, so she explained that one. It's not the Democratic way. It's not a Democrat. I never call it, they call it the Democratic Party because it sounds so nice. I call it the Democrat Party. It's actually the Democrat Party. They ought to change the name. They're always arguing that. I always call it it's called Democrat Party. Democratic sounds so beautiful, the Democratic Party. It's even nicer in a speech. But they ought to change the name instead of complaining. And you know what she could do? All these things that she complains about right now, she should go and fix them. She shouldn't even go to the debate. She should go back to Washington, D.C. and fix all the things she's complaining about. There's no problem. As DA of San Francisco, Kamala was the original Marxist prosecutor. She was the original. She shielded illegal alien crack dealers from deportation at a level that nobody had ever seen before. She refused to seek the death penalty for an animal who killed a police officer. She didn't even call the officer's family. She refused. She didn't want to call his family. As California Attorney General, Kamala redefined sex trafficking, and child sex trafficking, and assault with a deadly weapon, and rape of an unconscious person as totally nonviolent crimes. Kamala then called herself a leader of the movement for no cash bail. She was very proud of that, no cash bail. That has done more to hurt our cities than almost anything I can think of, where these people are getting out of jail 1 hour later. They don't even see the jail, and they're violent criminals, and they're out of jail immediately. She called for abolishing ICE, and these ICE people are incredible patriots, and they have a tough job, and you work with them very closely, but they are incredible, and they're tough, and they love our country. And ending all jail sentences for parole violators. No more jail sentence. What's the purpose of even reporting if you don't go to jail for parole violations? Unless, again, you're involved in political activity, meaning you want to run a democratic country, you want to run a country that is based on fair and free voting, you're in serious trouble if you get caught trying to find out what are the real results of an election. It's an amazing thing. Do you ever see that? They go after the people that are looking at the crime, and they do terrible things to them. But the people that committed the voter fraud and everything, they can do whatever they want to do. It's so crazy. And I hope you, as the greatest people, just as great as there is anybody in our country, I hope you watch for voter fraud. So it starts early, it starts in a week, but I hope you can watch, and you're all over the place. Watch for the voter fraud, because we win. Without voter fraud, we win so easily. Hopefully we're going to win anyway, but we want to keep it down. You can keep it down just by watching, because believe it or not, they're afraid of that badge. They're afraid of you people. They're afraid of that more than anything else. They're afraid. So I hope you can watch. During the 2020 riots, Kamala Harris urged her followers to donate to a fund to bail out violent rioters, arsonists, and looters out of jail. You remember in Minnesota, one of the criminals she helped bail out of jail went on to murder a man in St. Paul, shooting him 6 times in the head and torso. Most disqualifying of all, Kamala Harris endorsed defunding the police, and she endorsed it for so many years. No politician who endorsed Marxist defund the police lunacy should ever be the president of the United States, because that's your philosophy. I promise you, I will never tell you we're going to defund the police. I will only tell you that we might overfund the police. We'll be over budget. I'll have to call up Patrick and say, Patrick, we're over budget. I'm sorry. We're over budget, Patrick. I'm sorry. He'll say, it's okay. Don't worry about it. But if I said, Patrick, we're defunding, I would have some serious problems, wouldn't I? But no crime Kamala has committed against the rule of law is worse than her nation-wrecking border invasion. There's never been anything like it. For nearly 4 years, Border Czar Harris, and she's the Border Czar, but now she denies that term, and she denies that she had much to do with the border. She was put in charge by Sleepy Joe, right? And who likes, let me have a free poll, please. I love these free polls. You know, you go out to a pollster, they charge you $300,000 for a stupid poll. They interview like 200 people. And they send you numbers. I don't even think they leave the office. I think they just make them up. Let's see, it's 51 to 49. And, but here I get a truth. If you had a name, and he's gone now, so don't worry about it, but just out of curiosity, who likes Crooked Joe? Who likes Sleepy Joe? Who likes Crooked Joe? Who likes Sleepy Joe? Yeah, a lot of people do. Well, now he's got plenty of time to sleep. You ever see a guy, somebody told him he looks great in a bathing suit on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday during the week, and he goes to the beach with a thing that's built, it's built for children to lift up. It's aluminum, and he can't lift it. He can't lift his feet out of the sand. And then he's dead, cold, knocked out, sleeping. And I say, if I ever hit that kind of a condition, and hopefully it won't happen for a long time, the last thing I'm going to want to do is be sleeping with cameras all over the place taking your picture. I don't want to be sleeping in public. He sleeps like, I've never seen anybody sleep like that. He hits the chair and he's within seconds, he's gone, he's out. And he's a 6 handicap, yeah. You ever see him swing? He goes like, the ball goes 3 yards if he's lucky, if it doesn't go backwards. Somebody said, that angered you because they said I was very good in the debate. John King from CNN, that was one of the great debate performances. I didn't think about it, but they said the only time he got angry was when he said he was a 6 handicap. And did you notice he said, I'm a 6 handicap. He always says 6.2, he wants to be accurate. The guy's not a 100 handicap. He couldn't break 200. I offered him $1 million if he could break. You saw that. Now, a 6 handicap can easily break 100, right? Easily for those golfers. I said, $1 million to your favorite charity. If you go out, just at a nice course we'll pick from the blue tees, like middle tees. If you can shoot 100, $1 million. They never heard back from him, But did you notice he said, I'm a 6 handicap? And then within about 30 seconds, he said, well, I'm an 8 handicap. I said, that was quick. We got him up 2 strokes. Yeah, they said I was the most angry when I heard that, because it may have been more fabricated than almost anything else he said. Anyway, no, that's the whole story with these people. Look, they lie and they cheat, and they've destroyed our country. They've destroyed our country. He's the worst president our country's ever had. She's the worst vice president. There's never been such destruction, and I mean a war that would have never been had. There's no way Russia was going in. I know Putin very well. He was not going in. There's no way that Israel would have been attacked on October 7th. We wouldn't have inflation. You wouldn't have had that travesty in Afghanistan, the most embarrassing day in the history of our country. No, we've never had a person like this, but of all of them, I think allowing 21 million plus people to come in from places unknown, I really think it's probably the hardest thing to solve, and it's the worst thing that's happened to our country. But they've invaded our country, and as I said, they came from the prisons and the jails and the mental institutions, and more terrorists than we've ever seen come into our country. We actually had a year where Border Patrol said that we had no terrorists. I didn't believe it, but I love it. 2019, they said no terrorists have come into our country. None. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. But I use it anyway because it's what a stat. But they said, but we were very tough on that, and there were very few. I doubt there were. I'm sure there was some, but they said there was 0 terrorists in 2019. Check it out, Border Patrol. And now we have numbers coming in, the likes of which we've never seen. And the worst terrorists in the world, they're coming in from Yemen. They're coming in from all over the Middle East, and they're coming in from places that even you don't want to know about. An estimated 75% of arrests in Midtown Manhattan and over 60% of arrests in Queens are now illegal aliens. Can you imagine that? So much more than half are illegal aliens. And all they do is talk about how people that come into our country illegally don't commit the same crimes as our people. They're so wrong. And they're more violent. They're more violent. Our country is being ravaged by migrant crime like nobody can believe. In June, 12-year-old, and I got to know the parents, Jocelyn Nungari in Texas was tied up, assaulted, and strangled to death by migrant criminals from Venezuela that Baltazar Harris released into our country. In February, an illegal alien shot 3 D.C. police officers right through a door. In June, an illegal alien shot 2 NYPD officers, 1 in the chest, 1 in the leg. Many have died. Many have died. You could go over these stats all day long. Death. In July, another illegal alien reportedly shot a San Antonio police officer with a rifle and shot him in a bad place. Only days ago, a migrant from Haiti who Kamala flew into our country very specially was arrested in Massachusetts for molesting a 10-year-old boy. Last month, another Haitian migrant was arrested in the same state for raping a 15-year-old girl. They're raping and they're killing people at levels that we've never seen. And you've seen what's going on in Colorado, and you see what's gone in Chicago. As we speak, heavily armed Venezuelan gangs have taken over entire apartment buildings and apartment complexes in Aurora, Colorado, terrorizing the residents. They're taking over. In the old days, you had to pay to buy that building. They just take it over. Oh, the people are living in such fear. They've left. Under Baltazar Harris, we are being conquered. We're being actually conquered, if you think of it from within. But as soon as I'm back in the White House, the conquest will end and the great liberation of America will begin. And you're going to be the ones leading the pack. We will take back every single square inch of American territory, and that's been invaded by these migrant gangs. It's been taken over. I mean, real estate patches have been taken over, and this is just the beginning. You haven't seen anything yet because they're just sort of assimilating. And how about what they're doing to our schools? They're going into schools. They're beating the hell out of our other pupils. We're giving them chairs, and we're telling people that have been there, families that have had their children in that school, you can't go to that school anymore. We will dispatch ICE and the elite teams of federal law enforcement to clear out the gangs from Aurora and every other American city that's being torn up and victimized. And we'll get MS-13 and other vicious gangs out of our schools, out of our high schools, your communities, and out of our country. We're going to get them out of our country fast. You know, when I first came in, MS-13 was all over the place. We had so much. And I said, take them back to their country, Honduras, Guatemala. Take them back, El Salvador. And a general told me, sir, we can't take them back. Why? They won't accept them. When the plane is ready to land, they have major aircraft landed all over the runway. So you can't land the plane. The buses are stopped. They broke up the road, so you can't get the buses in. We can't get them back. They won't take them. They told us, don't even think about bringing them. We'll end up in a big fight. I said, how much money do we pay those? It was 3 countries in particular. And they have MS-13 criminals, the worst gang members. They make our gang members look like very sweet people. That's the only thing good about it. Our criminals look so nice by comparison. These are rough people. I said, how much money do we give these people? They said $750 million. Sir, It's $750 million, sir. I said, let them know that effective immediately, they're not getting any more money. You know, we give it as foreign aid like fools. We give so much money to people that don't have any respect for us at all. Tell them the money is cut off. They are defunded. I wish I used that term. We're defunding. We're defunding them. They're delinquent. We're defunding them. And they told them that. And the next day I get a call from the three countries. It was like almost early in the morning on the Oval Office. Sir, there seems to be a problem. Is there anything I can do? You have to understand, they wouldn't let for years anybody come back. They got them out. They got their criminals out of the country, gave them to us. When we sent them back, they said, sir, is there anything, is there a problem? I said, yeah. You sent in caravans all of these people, and you're not taking them back. You're going to take them back. Sure, we would love to take them back, please. It would be our great honor to have MS-13 back in our country, sir. It would be our great. We love MS-13 very much. They only kill 5 people a year per person. And they took them back. I still didn't pay them. I still didn't pay them. But you know, I just found out that now they're getting $4 billion with Biden. $4 billion instead of the $750 million. And they're behaving worse than they've ever behaved. I will support mandatory minimum sentences of 20 years for illegal alien gang members caught committing gun crimes, drug trafficking crimes, or acts of violence, or we'll send them back to their country with the assurance that they'll be put in prison. And I will make their home countries pay for the cost of their imprisonment through reduced foreign aid and high tariffs or taxes if they don't behave. You know, the tariffs are great. If they don't behave, you just say, that's okay, you don't have to behave. I'm putting a 50% tariff on everything you send in. And they behave like little babies. The days of foreign nations dumping their criminals into America are over. I will stop the invasion. I will shut down deadly sanctuary cities, and we will carry out the largest deportation operation, because we have no choice, in the history of our country. By sealing the border, we will also push back the flood of fentanyl and other deadly drugs that's pouring into our country at record numbers. Under my administration, we reduced drug overdose deaths for the first time in nearly 3 decades by quite a bit, but nothing like it could be. Because the only thing that's going to stop drug dealers from doing their job is a thing called the death penalty. And I don't know if people are ready for the death penalty. You know, a drug dealer kills during his or her life an average of 500 people. So when you say the death penalty and it ends, I was in China with President Xi before COVID. I got along with him very well. After COVID, I didn't really deal with him. I wasn't so thrilled with him, but I got along with him, had a good relationship. I said, you have 1.4 billion people. Do you have a drug problem? No, we have no drug problem. And what do you attribute that to? Death penalty. Death penalty for drug dealers. They have no problem with 1.5. They have no problem. The only problem they have is they send the drugs to us. Under Kamala, drug overdose deaths are up 18%, but we're going to stop the scourge. I will sign an executive order on my first day, making it the official policy of the U.S. government to completely eliminate the presence of drug cartels and foreign gangs in the United States. We're going to eliminate them. And as I did 4 years ago, we will deploy the U.S. Navy to impose a full blockade on cartel activity, because what they do is you block up the land all of a sudden. The money they make is astronomical. Boats are no problem. Getting the boats, buying the boats, owning the boats, no problem. I will get China to give their maximum death penalty to dealers of fentanyl. I had that deal worked out with President Xi. And then when I left, they didn't do it. They didn't get it done. He probably said they forgot. They probably did. But we had a deal where he was going to impose the maximum penalty, which was death, on dealers that were sending fentanyl to the United States. How good would that have been? Starting on November 5th, the most important day in the history of our country, no neighborhood will be left to rot from the plague of drugs. No citizen will be abandoned to migrant gangs, and no community will be surrendered to violent crime. We will take back our cities. We will clean up our streets. We will restore peace to our schools. And together we will make America safe again for citizens of every race, religion, color, and creed. Together, we will make America great again. And thank you very much for this great honor of the endorsement. God bless you. God bless our great police. And God bless America. Thank you very much, Pastor. Very much. Thank you. Thank you, fellas. Thank you very much, everybody.
Young man, there's no need to feel down. I said, young man, pick yourself off the ground. I said, young man, 'cause you're in a new town. There's no need to be unhappy. Young man, there's a place you can go. I said, young man, when you're short on your dough, you can stay there. And I'm sure you will find many ways to have a good time. It's fun to stay at the YMCA. It's fun to stay at the YMCA. They have everything for your men to enjoy. You can hang out with all the boys. It's fun to stay at the YMCA. It's fun to stay at the YMCA. You can get yourself clean. You can have a good meal. You can do whatever.
Of course, President Trump there speaking in Charlotte, North Carolina to the Fraternal Order of Police. A lot of topics, but mainly about law and order for our country.
From the beautiful Queen City in the Tar Heel State, a huge endorsement. You could see that President Trump enthusiastic that the judge moved the sentencing to November 26th, the week of Thanksgiving, just 2 days before Thanksgiving, from originally September 18th, your birthday, so we can have a nice birthday celebration for you, but also the Fraternal Order of Police endorsement with their president and chairman. An exciting evening for President Trump, who wants law and order back, highlighting those main focuses on his campaign to seal and secure the border, make sure that America's cities are safe and beautiful once again, and also to spur economic rebirth in our country.
All right, so today this was part 2 of an RSBN doubleheader earlier today, of course, at Trump Tower. So if you'd like to watch any of this coverage, to hear President Trump's speeches, you can go to our Rumble or YouTube page and you can watch the speeches as well. We do want to let you know as well, Wisconsin tomorrow, 8 a.m. Eastern, starts our coverage for the Wisconsin rally in Mosinee. Our correspondents, Mike Fortin and Christina Loren, will be there. And we'll have a lot of live coverage, of course, out of Wisconsin. We do want to thank our friends at Birch Gold Group as well. All you can do is text Trump to 989898, and you can get that free silver coin as well by working with Birch Gold Group of getting one of their products. Always a great sponsor here at Right Side.
No question about it. And what a great way to get that silver memorabilia. That coin will be worth much, much more than just what silver's at right now, which is a great investment because we need these tax-sheltered dividends and other investments to curb the cost of living and inflation in general. But Birch Gold, a great way to financially secure your family by texting Trump to 989898.
All right, let's go next to the wellness company. Of course, there's some great emergency kits, a contagion emergency kit, and also a medical emergency kit. Bobby, good stuff here.
Fantastic. It's the best to be on the road with. You see, they're nice and lightweight, so you can put it in your backpack, travel on the plane with it, in the car, put it in your pantry or that emergency closet stash of stuff that you just might need to get rid of a bacteria or a virus. We have this crazy bird flu meeting happening with the World Health Organization in October, and I laugh about it, but it's actually a scary situation because they're talking about mass fatality planning, the top agenda topic at this conference. So go to makecaregreatagain.com. Dr. Peter McCullough protecting these wonderful patriots out here. Code RSBN for 15% off.
Let's go to the Tax Network USA, 800-357-1415. Anything when it comes to taxes, these guys are the ones that can help you out, especially if you've missed a tax filing year. So all you got to do is go to 800-357-1415. Give them a call. They'll be right there with you. Also, let's thank the free Trump book, The Kid's Guide to President Trump. There's also The Kid's Guide to American Greatness. There's other topics there as well. So it's freetrumpbook.com. Always good to get the indoctrination and kind of turn it back to the good stuff instead of the stuff that's been poured into the youth's minds by many schools out there.
Our future voters deserve that, and these are even good guides for your next door neighbor who's not really paying attention to what's going on. It's amazing as I speak to some friends. My friends are pretty engaged, but every once in a while I run into, it was 10 days after the assassination attempt. I had a neighbor, we were watching soccer, and he said, wait, Trump, there was an assassination attempt? And I was, did you live under a rock?
Yeah.
Some people are just not paying attention, so it's good to get them guides like this to actually focus on policy.
Literally just yesterday at a dog park there with our pup and talked to somebody, and they just were so surprised to even talk about politics. They didn't even know what to do. They're like, oh, I don't care about that stuff. But you got to care about that stuff.
Well, and that's part of the problem with America's education system. I can remember that growing up, just don't talk about politics and religion because you might insult someone. Well, shouldn't we talk about those topics? They're kind of important.
Yeah.
a major part of the culture.
Yeah, a major part of the culture, but also right now with which direction our country is going to go. So
right.
Obviously a lot of topics to be discussed out there. Let's go to Zelenko. This is a original all-natural at-home preventative vitamin for COVID, the flu, other viral illnesses. All you have to do is go to Z-Stack Life, and then stacklife.com. Use that promo code RSBN for 20% off. A great sponsor here at Right Side, zstacklife.com. Also, MyPillow, always good with Mike Lindell. A lot of great products on mypillow.com. Bobby has a number of products, my wife and I as well. And I know a lot of you guys do too, but at the end of the day, these deep discounts that you get with the RSBN promo code, always awesome there with Right Side Broadcasting.
Oh, and it was outstanding to get to have the privilege of interviewing Mr. Mike Lindell last week. Curious if that mustache is coming back fast. He's got some great footage he's about to release undercover at the Democrat National Coronation. He is a man of the highest order, a gentleman, an incredible life story, an incredible business, a master marketer, and an advocate, a champion for election integrity.
100%. RSBN. If you'd like to donate to the network, all you have to do is text RSBN to that number you see there on the screen, 801-801. So it's RSBN to 801-801. Anything you can do will be greatly appreciated. If you can't, we understand. But we definitely are out there with We the People. And speaking of that, tomorrow in Wisconsin will be Rally Day. For Bobby McNeely, I'm Matthew Alvarez. 8 a.m. tomorrow, we'll start coverage. It'll be Mike Fortin, Christina Loren out there in Mosinee, Wisconsin for a rally. America, let's do this. Let's win this for our country. We'll see you tomorrow.
You ask and we listen. We're finally bringing the most requested offer ever. Get the queen size premium MyPillow, now only $19.98. MyPillow is made with patented adjustable fill. It adjusts to your exact individual needs regardless of your sleep position. It helps keep your neck aligned and holds its shape all night long so you get the best sleep of your life. But that's not all. Get our 6-piece kitchen or bath towel sets only $25. Our brand new mattress topper as low as $69.98. Get our famous MyPillow bed sheets for as low as $25 and so much more. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to get huge discounts on all MyPillow products, including the premium queen-size MyPillow, only $19.98. That's the lowest price ever. Don't delay, order today. From all of us here at MyPillow, thanks America!
Hey y'all, it's Silk from Diamond and Silk. Don't forget to catch the Diamond and Silk Chit Chat live show right here on RSBN. That's right, RSBN. Now that's Right Side Broadcasting Network. Okay? See y'all soon. Bye-bye.
Hi folks, RSBN founder and CEO Joe Seals here. Did you know there is nearly $1 trillion of infrastructure and pandemic funds yet to be spent? That's right, there's a massive amount of money that the lame duck administration is pushing hard to spend in their last few months. If the president is able to push these funds out, we could see another prolonged inflation surge, just like during COVID. And I'm sure you remember the terrible effects that high prices had on most Americans. But there's hope. A surge in prices can be beaten. A gold IRA from Birch Gold Group is the ultimate inflation hedge for your savings in uncertain times. To see how to protect your IRA or 401k, get your free info kit on gold by texting the word Trump to 989898. Birch Gold makes it seamless to roll over your retirement account while preserving your tax advantage status. Don't wait for the president's spending spree to tank the dollar further. Protect your financial future now. Text Trump to the number 989898 for your free info kit from Birch Gold.
Welcome to the Right Side Broadcasting Network. We're not like the other media outlets out there that cut and edit what other people say. In 2015, we were created by our founder, Joe Seals, to cover President Donald J. Trump's speeches and rallies, to which we continue to do to this day. We've also covered important conservative events like CPAC, tvOS, March for Life, and many other important events and hearings around the country. We were made for people like you, everyday Americans who are tired of the mainstream media, who are tired of being lied to, manipulated, and fed an agenda. Our goal here at Right Side Broadcasting is to allow you to see the truth, giving our correspondents and commentators a wide latitude to speak their minds. You won't find anything like this in the mainstream media. Your support through your donations, locals, and supporting our advertisers allows us to continue to cover important events around the country each and every day. So, from us here at Right Side Broadcasting, thank you for supporting us and the right side of history.